Hello and welcome to the Mighty Electronic Box for the 17th of June 2013. This is going to be our E3 recap show. We are a full team this week. Say hello, John. Say hello, Brad.
Yo.
Yo.
Neither of you said hello. You're both fired.
Yay.
Yay! We weren't being paid anything anyway.
Well, that's not the point. You're still fired.
I don't think that works.
That's exactly how that works. What are you talking about? Anyway, let's talk about E3, guys. John, I'm going to pick you first. I don't know why.
Oh God.
Yeah, E3. What did you care about? What did you not care about? What did you...
I suppose it wasn't in the podcast earlier in the week. Let's see. I thought the Division looked cool.
I did.
It was funny seeing Ubisoft basically pull the same trick twice.
Yeah, another new game, new IP. Just like, yo, this looks cool. Check it out.
Yeah, sort of like dystopian America. I think. Yeah, that was really interesting.
It's funny because I don't particularly, in my mind, I don't think Ubisoft good lineup of games, and then they've just been consistently coming up with Far Cry, with Watch Dogs. They've been hitting hard last E3 and this E3, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're definitely stepping it up big time for next gen.
Yeah. And apparently Watch Dogs is like really good, which isn't. I guess it's a bit of a surprise because I thought it showed really well last year, but then nothing they've really shown since then has been like mind blowing. Like it's looked like modern day Assassin's Creed basically, which I'm completely done with Assassin's Creed, so that doesn't really interest me. But apparently it's amazing, so that's good. God, what else was that? Apparently The Witcher 3 showed really well at like demos and stuff. This is hearing it from people who aren't really into The Witcher, so that's interesting because I played a decent amount of The Witcher 2, but I never really. I don't know, it just didn't click with me. Like I realized that it was like really well produced and like was like it was super like deep, I guess. I just couldn't get into it. But apparently Witcher 3 is looking good, which is good. I guess like the inclusion of like a proper open world will probably do a lot for me because that is just, I don't know, that's something I really go for. The new Infamous, that looked interesting.
Yeah, I think we did briefly talk about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we mentioned it a bit. You talked about what you liked in that. One thing that I found interesting that I heard on the day one recap that Giant Bomb did, their live stream that I watched an archive of recently, I didn't realize that the dude you play as isn't a fire dude. He's absorb from other people and do whatever the fuck you want, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so I guess like the fire powers are just like one subset of powers that you can.
They probably should have showed that in the trailer because I
was going to say it kind of looks like he's just a fire dude. Yeah, that's pretty cool though because that just kind of gives them like just free reign to be like, hey, you have like fucking like 1 billion powers.
Did you know they took one of the endings as canon as well?
But I know what both endings are, so I know which ending.
The one where he dies is the canon. So.
Yeah, pretty much. That's sort of fine, I guess. I just felt the evil quote unquote ending in Infamous 2 had way more impact. That was a far more potent ending to that game.
I mean, apparently they based it on like trophy data. So
I imagine most people.
And it was like way in favor of like the ending where Cole dies. So
yeah,
I mean that's probably a decent way of doing it, I guess.
I think it is, because it keeps it fresh. I mean, like Infamous, like we'll always have Infamous 1 and 2. You can go play them. If you want.
I mean, even if like they did go with the ending where he doesn't die, I mean, you still probably could have played as a different character and had something. Because I mean,
true.
It would have been interesting to have like a hero character like go against Cole, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah, but I think this gives them, they can make a break from it and they can do stuff like that. That's fine. So I think that's like, I wonder how they handle like the traversal stuff, for example, in this, because like Cole was, all into his free running and shit, wasn't he?
Can't really remember if they showed. There was definitely like stuff with him like jumping around and shit. I think he just can't jump really high or something.
I'd be okay. I'd be kind of okay if they simplified that a little bit. Well, maybe not. Maybe the wrong word. Like I don't know, like rework it a certain way. Like I always felt the kind of like jumping onto something just to jump onto 5 more things and then get on a roof and like whiz along a wire. I mean, I still liked it. I thought it was cool, but there's definitely room to make that more streamlined.
I mean, yeah, obviously making a break from Cole allows them to do that, and like having the whole absorbing powers. I assume you can, absorb something that just like lets him just run up a building or something.
So is that going to be like you fight more conduits this time? Surely that's how.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing at the end is that like a bunch of new conduits got made, and like I think the setup is that basically the government has like made this organization which is meant to like sort of suppress the conduits. So I mean, a lot of the combat looked like him just fighting against like these super soldier dudes, but I assume there are also going to be like other conduits because like for him to get his powers from. I think the situation Brad Shoemaker this is posited was basically like you're gonna get your powers from like boss battles with other conduits. It's like
I mean that's
kill this dude like now you unlock whatever the fuck power.
That's kind of how it worked in Infamous 2. I mean they weren't strictly boss battles, but that's pretty much the setup.
God, I had something else in my head. Sky blah blah blah. Titanfall. That's the one.
Yeah.
I was that surprised me. Like maybe I probably shouldn't have like doubted like those dudes' ability to make something like
cool.
in like the multiplayer space, considering they pretty much invented like
they kind of
5 years of multiplayer games. That looked really cool. I'm not 100% sure on that whole like having single player stuff in the multiplayer, because I can imagine that gets boring after like the the 5th time you're seeing like this dude say the exact same thing. But I mean,
unless they're gonna like keep updating it.
Yeah, that was my fault
over time. But I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I mean,
I just want to say again, I'm going to keep saying this every time I possibly can. I predicted it. Mechs. Mechs,
Mechs are looking pretty big.
Mechs are the new Red Dot site, is what you're saying.
Mechs are the new dog.
Mechs are the new dog. Okay. Yeah, but the new Call of Duty's got a dog in it, so is the next logical
Call
step
of Duty are behind.
Dogs?
Call of Duty are falling behind.
So
when they strap jetpacks,
dogs, that's what it's got to be, right?
When they strap jetpacks on the dog and then go to space, and then you fly around in space with a dog with like a goldfish bowl on its head, then I'll be back on board.
Jetpack space dogs.
Yeah.
With mechs. Is that what you're telling me?
There was definitely something else that was completely escaping me. Oh God. Nope, it's gone. I'll think of it in a second. Drivatars. God, I'm so sick of the word Drivatar.
Drivatar is such a stupid word.
Okay, I'm hearing this word for the first time now. What the fuck are you guys
talking? God, it was
you managed to miss that. I thought I mentioned it on Tuesday.
During the Forza...
I think I would have remembered something that dumb.
I don't know. I think you've forgotten.
So during the Forza 5 presentation, they got this thing called Drivatar, which is like this AI thing which basically like adapts to your style of racing. And
you did mention that, Brad, but I definitely must have missed the Drivatar.
You blanked the word I said Drivatar as a word now, and you must have blanked that out.
All right.
The guy said Drivatar like 12 times in the presentation. It was ridiculous.
So my like dumb shit filter
is working perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
God, there was definitely something else at the presentations, and that was like in a reasonably not finished. Battlefield 4. Like the initial the single player stuff looked boring, but like that multiplayer demo where the fucking skyscraper came down was crazy.
Can you recap something for me? Because I talked about how I thought it must be insane how they staged that demo, like the whole helicopter flying behind the dudes and then shooting and missing and everything. I thought it went on a spiel about that on Tuesday, but how did they get to the top of the skyscraper? I can't remember.
By lift. It was pretty funny actually.
They actually went in a lift.
Yeah, like 5 dudes go in a lift, and then there's like music on as they're going up, and then they jump out. And captures the flag, which is pretty funny.
That's perfect. All right, I need to rewatch that because I literally don't remember. All I remember is them going into the building and then them jumping out of the building, and I can't remember what happened in between.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I really love the bit where the tank fell through the floor in the subway. That was
pretty cool.
That was more exciting to me than the whole building falling over because it doesn't scripted.
Yeah. Obviously Metal Gear 5 or whatever the fuck.
Whatever that's going to be called.
Ground Zeroes.
Or Stealth.
Ground Zeroes is this gen, isn't it? I thought Ground Zeroes was...
I don't know.
No. I'm confused now. Ground Zeroes and Metal Gear 5 are different though, right? They are different games. Or are they the same game?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
Because I mean the thing they were saying about Ground Zeroes was it's like the first open world Metal Gear, and that's what Phantom Pain is. And also Skullface, which is one of the characters they revealed, was totally in the...
He was in the 5 trailer, wasn't he? As well?
I don't know. Fuck it. Right, okay. Well, what we saw at E3 was Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, or at least that's what the title was. Which, it's set in like 80s Afghanistan, so I guess like the background is like the whole Russian invasion of Afghanistan, so it gives you chance to shoot some Russians, which I'm sure we've all missed.
Isn't there a Chinese faction as well now?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure one of the things they announced was a third faction for multiplayer at least, so I assume they factor in this to the story.
I'm talking about Metal Gear 5, not Battlefield.
Holy shit, I am blanking hard.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, what the fuck? Like, China?
Sorry.
They did introduce the Chinese faction for Battlefield 4 as well.
Oh, okay.
So...
Sorry, it's the whole Russians thing. It's just ingrained into
no Russian.
So Metal Gear 5, the extended like 9-minute trailer of Metal Gear 5, I think they showed like a 6-minute one at the start of the Microsoft press conference. The 9-minute one, I understand why they didn't show, because it starts with like torture and this dude getting like a blinking package like ripped out of his stomach as like Snake just sort of stands there and is like sort of not really freaking out, just sort of watching.
Yeah. Stone-faced.
Yep. And there's like a bunch of like waterboarding stuff, and some dude has a bag over his head and then he gets shot, and there's child soldiers, and the way the trailer is cut makes it look like Snake kills a bunch of kids. But I've got to assume that's not right, because holy shit, that'll be crazy. Child torture and that sort of shit was sort of a weird like sub theme. I'm sure there were like 3 separate games in which kids got like explicitly hurt, such as that bit in Metal Gear 5. There was a trailer for something that, oh god, what the hell was it called? It was like A Tale of Brothers or something. It was a bit like this just generic looking indie 2D platformer, and a kid is like strapped to this electric chair and like gets shocked pretty severely. Like they stayed on it for like a good 5 seconds, which was weird. And I'm sure there's something else where a kid gets hurt. So that's
E3,
awesome.
You mean?
Yeah, at E3. Like during the press conferences, like which was a bit weird, but yeah. Other than that, though, there wasn't really anything standing out in my mind. Beyond looks weird. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Beyond, because all the stuff they showed at E3 was like some Somalia military mission thing where Ellen Page is like a soldier, like just killing dudes, which is like totally not what they've been showing.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, how is this related at all to what they showed before?
Yeah, and then I watched like there was like another trailer with all that stuff like intercut with the game. I thought it was just like they've just like said fuck it, right? This is just Ellen Page goes to Somalia and kills a bunch of dudes, but like that just seems to be like one part of the whole story. Like all that other stuff, like the stuff they showed on the train a while back where she's like escaping from this train, is all in there, and like the stuff in like the little that like medical facility where she's like freaking out is all in there. So that game seems weird. But yeah, that was about it really. I'm sure there's other stuff I'm forgetting because they did actually show like
A lot.
legitimate shit ton of games. So.
What did you think of Transistor?
Oh yeah, shit. That looked interesting. I mean, the stuff they showed in the trailer wasn't really that different, but
No, the music's nice.
yeah,
I like
music's
the
cool.
the pacing to the music. It's kind of upbeat.
Yeah, and it was cool seeing like Greg Kasavin on the stage at E3 alongside Adam Boyes. That was the really weird like giant bomb collaboration moment thing. It was like those two guys on stage is super weird, but yeah. That you remind us there below that they showed at the
Oh yeah, that looked interesting.
Microsoft press conference, like the new game from the dudes who made Swords and Sorcery, which is a really dumb name. Yeah, that looked weird and sort of.
I have no idea what that is. They said roguelike at
Yeah,
one
they
point,
said-
but I
yeah.
don't know how far they're going with that. And
Yeah.
the art style looked like cool.
It looked sort of it had a similar sort of aesthetic to Swords and Sorcery, except without like the pixelation, I guess.
Yeah,
Had the same
it was
sort of
like a
the
much
same
cleaner-
color palette.
And the dudes were quite long, if you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was about it, really. Good E3, I thought. Like just in terms of new games and stuff, and obviously there was the whole Sony blowing Microsoft out of the water sort of thing, just completely crazy.
I think that's largely due to just Microsoft being kind of shitty, though.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was like it wasn't like what Sony said like on its own isn't really mind blowing. It's just the way they sort of did it, and it was like so obviously like directed straight at Microsoft, and it was just
I
sort
like the reaction they got as well. Like,
yeah,
I don't really like, and it wasn't really to do with a particular game. Like, I mean, like people flipped their shit when like when Halo 3 was shown for the first time, like people went ape shit. But this wasn't a game thing. This was like we're just gonna do these things, and people went fucking crazy.
No, the killer, I guess, was probably the price. Like, just
the price as well.
Like, pretty much anything lower than what Microsoft had said would have probably worked. But yeah, going like $100 lower is probably pretty awesome.
Did you watch any of GameSpot's floor show stuff?
Oh
Just in
god,
general?
I saw like a bit of the DayZ one, and a bit of the FIFA one.
Oh yeah, the DayZ standalone was weird. I'm really not sure what to think of that.
Yeah, that game didn't look so hot.
Oh, and like they're ditching all the armor tech and just making their own MMO, like making it on the back of some MMO engine or something. At least that's the way he seemed to describe it. But I mean, it didn't look hot. He was straight up saying though, don't buy into the alpha if you don't want it to be buggy because it's currently like broken. So
it's just it's weird. Like them, it's like basically they've transitioned from it being a mod to like it just being its own separate thing.
It's
but
called
like,
DayZ standalone.
yeah, what they showed there like looked like a mod for a first person shooter, like a bad mod. It was weird.
Yeah, they weren't really cleaning it up. It was
and it was really weird hearing the main guy be like, yeah, we thought it would be out by now, because there was like a sort of mild controversy because he had this trip to like Everest planned, and he went on it like in the middle of development, and it was like, I couldn't exactly pull out because I had all this this money like already invested in going, and he was like, yeah, the reason I went was because I thought by now the standalone would be out. I was thinking like, considering that like this game looks so far off being released, it's like, how could you ever think it would be done by now? It's just completely crazy.
Yeah, he even said himself, the game's nowhere near done during the presentation. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I really want that to be good, but I just feel like it needs to be like what I want that game to be. It just needs it needs a bigger team than like what it seems they have. It can't be this like small indie thing, because it's just gonna, I don't know. I don't think it ever will be like. There'll never be like a AAA version of DayZ, which is unfortunate because I think someone could do that really well. It's always going to be this weird indie thing.
It's kind of interesting. I actually kind of felt like The Division made strides in a similar direction, just by it being so heavily based around your interaction with your friends or whatever whilst you're moving around a kind of hostile environment. Less aspect on the survival kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I thought it had aspects of the way the co-op.
Yeah, I mean, the interview on on Giant Bomb's actually quite interesting. Reveals a few things like how it's mechanically going to work. So it seems like it's basically sort of Borderlands, except you can go into like PvP zones, and when you're in a PvP zone, it's sort of a lot of games seem to be like adopting like the Dark Souls like method of multiplayer, where it's like invasions and stuff. Like people who were like concurrently playing the game but not in your world can suddenly like come in your world. Like I think Watch Dogs is also doing a similar thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's interesting. It's not exactly how I thought it was going to work. Like I thought it was just going to be like a big open world, just
and you just run into dudes, but it's in very specific areas that the PvP can happen. I assume it's around like mission focus points or points of like resources and stuff, which is kind of what reminded me of DayZ in that regard.
Yeah.
Because that's where
I guess what makes DayZ so interesting is you can't just run into anyone at any point, sort of. And it has all that weird, like, I guess it has stuff that just wouldn't fly in a AAA game. It's like all the weird like communication stuff and like.
Man, talking about the communication stuff, that's something I would love to see more in console games, is people playing around with voice chat. And first of all, that requires the death of party chat, because party chat can go do one. But if more games revolved around using the actual in-game chat, kind of like what Arma does. So like when you're near a dude, you can hear them. When they walk further away, you can't hear them, and then you have to say like hold a push to talk radio button to actually like talk over the radio, and the voice comes in all distorted. And in the Division showing that they did in the press conference, they had a weird so there was that weird voice chatter that was kind of awkward like throughout the presentation.
I actually thought they sort of captured how people talk in video games quite like
but it felt a little bit too robotic.
But I mean I thought it was decent it was instead of like dudes like being like, oh, over there, like flank this dude, like they didn't talk like idiots, but well, I don't know.
I didn't find it too off-putting. Yeah. And obviously it wasn't, some people thought it was voiceover for the actual game,
which would
voice chat. But the main point I was getting to is the voices all had a modulation, like a fake radio static effect applied to them, which is very little. It's so subtle that it really doesn't matter. But that kind of immersion is something I'd appreciate more games putting the effort in, and especially if they went all the way like Arma does it. And DayZ does it. That'd be awesome.
So the FIFA stuff.
I didn't see any FIFA stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't really get a sense of. I mean, it looks like a FIFA game, I guess. A lot of the stuff they're talking about didn't seem crazy, like revolutionary, and it was weird because they had like Chris Waters, he's been in a couple of Giant Bomb videos and stuff. Like he's like. Sort of one of the big dudes at GameSpot. He was pretty much like the host of a lot of their E3 stuff. He was doing like he was the host for like the commentary stuff over the press conferences. He did the FIFA demo, and I don't know that dude personally, but it didn't seem like he knew that much about football.
Why didn't they put like that host dude?
Yeah, Daniel Dwyer would have. I think Danny was doing like stage 2, so he couldn't really have been doing the FIFA demo. I actually thought just quick shout out. I thought the GameSpot E3 like press conference commentary stuff was actually pretty funny.
When they were talking over the conference?
Yeah.
I turned that off.
Oh really? I quite liked it. I thought it was alright.
I just went on the pure Twitch stream that was just here's the press conference.
Danny O'Dwyer is a funny guy. Other than that, I didn't really see any of the gameplay stuff. I probably should have watched more of that because it gave a better impression of a lot of the games that they actually showed it on the press conferences, but might catch up with that stuff later.
Something you were talking about a second ago, which I've now forgotten. I was going to say I didn't see any gameplay of myself, but I can't. Oh, Transistor. I didn't see any gameplay of that. So how does the turn-based stuff in that work? The pause the game to queue up commands.
I don't really know myself. It looked sort of Frozen Synapse-y, I think was the.
Okay.
Because I watched a YouTube video a while ago which had like it wasn't like someone explaining gameplay, but it was just like a lot of video of the gameplay, and it seemed like that.
Right.
Which I mean I like from the small amount of frozen sign-ups to play, that game's interesting. Like that sort of like asynchronous. Oh no, what the hell?
Yeah,
the
it is asynchronous.
Is it?
Yeah, it's asynchronous multiplayer.
Okay.
The turn-based stuff that they do, because you just
Yeah.
submit your turn, and then the other person can submit their turn whenever, and then you can just watch it back on your own
Yes.
time.
Yeah. So, yeah. I can't think of anything else that stood out really.
I found it interesting when I was watching that. I had the stream on mute, so I didn't know what they were talking about. But all the like, I guess attacks are like kind of computery related. For example, when the main character, the woman, I don't know what her name is, was like going around behind one of these robots and attacking it. It was called like hack or something, the attack or something.
Mm.
And I don't know what that's about or what the fiction for that game really is. But
No, I don't really have a good grasp on what the story is. But I mean, I do trust them, I guess. After Bastion, like that game had a really interesting like universe and narrative. So if they can do a similar thing with Transistor, then
yeah,
I'm on
the
board.
narrative was the only thing that vaguely interested me in Bastion.
That's because you're a bad person.
God.
That's the only thing that kind of bums me out about the
Can't believe I
Transistor,
completed that game.
like announcement. Like I'm kind of bummed out that they're not
You want
expanding.
Bastion 2?
I want no, I don't want Bastion 2. I don't really think Bastion needs a sequel. I wanted them to expand on like the combat in Bastion.
Oh right, yeah.
I feel this is kind of a step backwards. It's like there really was a lot to the combat in Bastion that like most people evidently.
Or there wasn't if you didn't want to. There was no
Mm,
reason to do any of the extra stuff. You
That's-
just did because
that's
you
just-
like that thing.
Not really. That's really not the case. If you
If
really
I played the game with 2 weapons, so
yeah, but that's your choice. Like that's your choice
that's
to
what I'm
do that.
saying. There was no reason to
Well,
use
no,
any of the other weapons.
there is reason.
There wasn't like,
There's
I
significant reason.
can't beat this enemy unless I had this other weapon, and this level's filled with these enemies, so I should probably use this weapon because I'll have an easier time. It was just,
Yeah, but that's
I can use
that
these
is-
2 weapons and kill everything.
Yeah, but that's situational.
Everything.
Like, if one weapon does everything, that's not what I'm getting at. Like, if you want to use 2 weapons, that's fine, but there are definite reasons to use other weapons in the game. Like, that's undisputable. Like,
Right.
like seriously, you should play more of that game if you feel that's how it plays, because that's not the case. But I just think the turn-based stuff feels like a bit of a step backwards from the combat that they did in Bastion. Like, there was way more. I would have liked to have seen them do more kind of like specific stuff with the weapons, not go this way. I don't really.
I got everything out of the gameplay and story that I think I wanted with Bastion, so I am more than happy to see them try something
I
different.
wouldn't call doing something different a step backwards either, because
Yeah,
but different doesn't mean better. Like
but
different doesn't
worse,
also mean worse.
which is
so-
what
No, it
you're
doesn't.
saying.
No, it doesn't mean worse, but it's just there's more to I'm just it's a personal thing. I just don't like turn-based combat. I think it's shit. I much prefer on the fly. I really don't like pausing the action to do what I want to do. That's just not something I like to do ever. So, like in that aspect, like it's kind of disappointing that they're going this route.
I think it looks cool. God, there was something. I'm sure there's something else now that I've remembered, but it's gone. I was impressed with the amount of like smaller games, I guess, at both press conferences. It's not usually the venue for like, oh, let's look at Transistor or God, what else? Or Below, I guess.
Yeah. I was disappointed not to see Jonathan Blow there.
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, he was on one of the Giant Bomb.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't.
Yeah,
I've only
they
watched the
had
first
a
one of
really
those, so.
the day 2 one is awesome because like the first hour is like God, who's on it? I think it's like Jeff, Ryan, Jonathan Blow, and Cliff Bleszinski. And it's pretty awesome. Like they have a good talk about all Microsoft stuff with like DRM and and Jonathan Blow like gives like insight into like the whole like press conference process, I guess, for his game, which is really interesting. And I don't really like Jonathan Blow, but this got me to, I don't know. It was weird. He seemed a lot more, I don't know, subdued, I guess. Like he wasn't like because I mean, like the few times that I've seen him talk, he spent like most of his time like railing against like AAA games and stuff, and like he wasn't like, I don't know, like I think he seemed more happy to just, you know, talk about the games he likes and stuff, as opposed to like being aggressive about the games that other people like, which I think is a way better way to, you know. Yeah. Like, imagine how boring this podcast would be if we just sat here being like, oh, Call of Duty sucks. Let's talk for an hour about Call of Duty. It's like, yeah. Whereas it's
well, we kind of only talk about the shit we like, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, like, why we do this.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's a way better way to live your life, people. Talk
Maybe
about things you like as opposed to things you hate.
Maybe we should just do an episode about everything we hate.
So what you're saying is we're not internet trolls. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Anything else, John? Or
I don't know. I seriously recommend like checking out all Giant Bomb's coverage of E3, because like all the videos and stuff. I don't know, like you guys personally, like I don't know how much of it you
I've watched a fair bit of it, but I haven't.
The hour-long video I think that Drew did about.
Oh, that's fantastic! Yeah.
Yeah, that ending.
I'm not going to say. I just have to say, Drew's content is quickly becoming by far and away the best content.
Yes,
he is a very talented video editor.
He's a video visionary.
Supremely high quality stuff. It's amazing.
All the video content's pretty interesting. And there's all the like interview dump truck podcast stuff, which is pretty interesting as well. It's like just a weird little 10-minute audio things of like what people have just seen, and if you basically want to hear pretty much everything that everyone's seen, you need to go to Giant Bomb and listen to that stuff, or watch that stuff, or a combination of the two.
Did either of you guys check out like any other sites E3 coverage by any chance? I know Brad seems you've checked out some GameSpot stuff.
I had the GameSpot stream open on my second monitor at times, just whilst I was playing like Scrolls and stuff.
Yeah, but any like kind of actual coverage you guys check out of other sites, or was it just Giant Bomb?
Pretty much just Giant Bomb.
They have a more personal aspect that, you know, it's easy.
Yeah, that's the main thing I like about their coverage. They do cover kind of the big stuff, but like mostly they cover the stuff that, like, you know, because everybody and their fucking grandma is covering, like, you know, Call of Duty and all the huge things. Like, they cover some stuff that probably wouldn't actually get any coverage.
Plus, I mean, the really interesting stuff is like the bombcasts, I guess. I guess, the stuff that you don't see that often, like the bombcasts where they talk to people like about like how they prepare for press conferences and all that sort of stuff is interesting, and like obviously the behind the scenes stuff, I guess, that Drew did, and
Did you guys see that interview Patrick had with what the fuck was that guy's name?
The PlayStation dude.
Yeah, that was really
that was
one of. I think it was because like the guy didn't really dodge any questions, like which made it even better.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the audio thing?
I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah. It was like Scott Rode, I guess. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
But I really like that, because it was, you actually, you know, you didn't get like politician answers. You know, it was like, will peripherals work? You know, I don't know, probably.
Yeah.
You know?
And by contrast, if you listen to the one about Nintendo, it is like a lesson in how to dodge questions. It's completely insane.
Shitty.
Like, he asks him about like 4 different things in a row, and he's just like, we're not talking about that right now. We're not talking about that right now. And there's one of the things, I think it was like Earthbound or something, which has already been announced. And he was like, oh, can you just give us a bit of insight into like how, you know, how this came about? Because I think there was some like legal dispute as to why it couldn't come to like Nintendo platforms or something. He's just like, we're not talking about this right now. It's just like, geez, like,
why are you even bothering to do this interview then? If you can't
it's like seriously, like, and then there's a big like joke in the comments thread about like, he mentions like see-through warp tubes in Mario as like some revolutionary feature of like the new Mario game, and it's just fucking ridiculous. It's like that dude is, I don't know whether he's like the best at PR or the worst. It's like
somewhere in the middle. He's like an exact 50-50.
Oh shit, that actually reminds me. You should watch the Disney Infinity interview thing, the uncut one. That shit is
That
hilarious.
one was pretty funny.
Okay, enough of the licking of Giant Bomb's arse because oh Jesus Christ, that was disgusting. That noise.
Sorry.
That's kind of an insight, Brad. That says more about you than you realize.
If you say so.
So, Brad, speaking of Brad, what
Brad?
impressed you? What do you?
I
want to
impressed
talk
me.
about?
Brad is awesome.
E3.
Well, I can't get over Fez 2. I've literally been in shock since.
Was there
I saw that
anything
on the
shown
Giant
about
Bomb.
that, or was it just
No,
announced?
absolutely fucking nothing. Like the words Fez 2 were shown. That was what was
So
shown.
it's just like a
It
like, I
was
can't
the
believe
part
this is
where
happening.
and the music in that trailer was glorious. I assume you guys have both seen it.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't. I really missed out on like the whole Fez explosion, so I kind of don't care about Fez 2 yet. Like
Just the way the
I still need
music
to play
picks
the
up in
first
that trailer and like is about to climax when it ends is
Yeah.
unbelievable. It sounds really, really good, and then made me want to go and buy the rest of the Disaster Piece Fez 1 album.
Oh,
Or-
if you that album's awesome. There's also a remix album,
Yeah, I haven't checked that out.
which
Is it good?
is that's pretty amazing.
Okay,
It's,
I might have to get that then.
yeah.
'Cause that was balls out awesome. So yeah, the excitement of Fez, and then the kind of sudden realization afterwards of, one, what is that game going to be? I've heard people say it's like the same kind of mechanical, the same mechanics of Fez 1, but with a different aesthetic. Apparently, it's all focused around like how the logo for Fez was all like wireframe.
Mhm.
Apparently that's the new aesthetic, just everything kind of wireframey, digitally, kind of that kind of. But then also, why the fuck Phil Fish wants to make Fez 2 was the second thing that popped into my mind, because having watched Indie Game the movie, and I think we've talked about Phil Fish in the past, he went through a lot of shit to get Fez out the door, and I would have thought he would want to distance himself from that immediately.
Yeah.
Were any platforms announced? Just out of curiosity, or was it just?
No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
believe so. No,
Okay.
no platform.
But that wasn't at E3, was it? It was like at some other
It was announced
indie
at the
thing.
Indie
It's like
Summit
Horizon
at
or something.
E3.
Oh,
it was
okay.
it was a panel at or some
Oh,
sort
right,
of
okay,
section at E3 that happened on day
Oh,
3,
That makes
and it was
sense, I guess.
announced there.
Yeah. I mean, it did just come out on PC. Maybe like PC sales were like amazing, and he's like, "Fuck it, let's do it." Like,
Oh yeah, true.
That's true.
I don't know. It,
Yeah,
it does
it's-
seem
I
You
think
think
weird.
it's kind of
also-
like expectations that are impossible to live up to, though?
Well, I mean,
Like that is kind of always. I mean, like I still haven't played the first game, but like what I heard most about of the first game, it was everything around it. It wasn't the like this game is amazing. It was more the stuff that was built into it. So
It was-
it's
Yeah.
probably going to be like
It
a
was kind of the
similar
revelation and the discovery, and if you
Yeah.
can recapture that again, which I considering he still says there are things in Fez that people haven't found, I'm sure it's not beyond his ability to
Yeah.
come up with more puzzles, and I hope they're different enough from the way that Fez 1 did its
yeah.
puzzles to stand out. Because if he can do that, then I think absolutely it will easily live up to the
Yeah.
standards of Fez.
And I mean,
1's.
like, it's not. I guess it's. I don't know. All that has to happen is basically that whole like the internet trying to solve it like as a collective thing just has to happen again, which I guess probably just would happen automatically. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that
people are
whole
gonna be
thing,
pretty
that-
eager to jump
yeah,
on it.
that whole thing happened with like Demon Souls and then Dark Souls coming out afterwards. Like part of what makes those games so appealing is like the whole like the community like coming together. It's like, okay, right, what the fuck does this thing even do? Like,
What does it mean? Yeah.
yeah, what does it mean? And then like, yeah, I mean, I've been playing. So I don't want to get into what we've been playing just yet, but I mean, I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls recently, obviously, and I completed it this week. But there's some of the YouTube channels that talk about the lore and stuff, and it's like these
Lore in
people
that
have,
game is insane. How
Yeah.
they piece that together. Like there's like up front, if you look at that game at face value, there is no story.
yeah, like all you get is like that intro cutscene, and pretty
Yeah.
much that's it.
Go ring some bells. That's
yeah.
the story of Dark
And-
Souls.
And like that sort of community thing where people just come together and like go really deep on like these games is really interesting, and I hope that does happen with Fez 2 again, because like I mean I had issues with the original game, but it was still like the actual experience of playing it from start to finish, and like figuring out puzzles yourself, and then having to getting. There was like a really intelligent, like people all came together and tried not to spoil it for other people. It was like here's a really good hint, but like you're still gonna have to do some legwork yourself.
Indeed.
Yeah, that sort of, if that happens again with Fez 2, then that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
I am excited for that. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what was the other announcement. One of my biggest takeaways from E3. I mean, I know on like the Bombcast stuff, they talked a lot about how many games showed a trailer where it was like, look, you're driving with your buddies, and then whoa, everybody's playing at the same time.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Which is kind of true, but I think it's actually really telling for the future of multiplayer games, because the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've come to the conclusion that co-op is the future of multiplayer games, not competitive multiplayer, just because it's a more all-encompassing gameplay type.
Yeah.
So like if you look at what Respawn are doing, whilst Titanfall looks really cool, it's still chasing after the Call of Duty money. And I don't think the Call of Duty money is there to stay, because people have, gotten their fill of, trying to be the best, and there are some people that never will.
Sorry, go on. It's just like the Call of Duty money is Call of Duty's money, though. That's the problem. Like people don't want to move away from it.
I mean, Titanfall's still trying to do something different, but in the long run, it's still a competitive multiplayer shooter.
Exactly.
And that's not really enough to differentiate it.
And I guess the people that have jumped off the Call of Duty bandwagon and are still continuing to do so aren't looking for the exact same experience. They're looking for something different.
Yeah.
Like they still want multiplayer, but they want something that isn't just, I'm going to shoot this other dude in the face now. I shot you better than you shot me. Like
the people who are bad at competitive multiplayer shooters aren't going to be any better at another competitive multiplayer shooter.
Yeah.
And the co-op kind of relieves some of that stress and makes it more all-encompassing. It's the same reason why, games like Warframe, like the free-to-play co-op thing, have been picking up a lot of steam. Those kind of games. And I think it's clever and telling to see Bungie going specifically for that all-encompassing co-op thing, and that becoming a big part of multiplayer shooters going forwards. I actually think Bungie are more on the money than Respawn are when it comes to.
Well, I mean, as far as I can tell, there's no real competitive stuff in Destiny. I mean, nothing that they've talked about.
Not that they've directly talked. I mean, there's no reason they can't have it. Much like the Division is predominantly, trolling around with your friends. People being able to join in on tablet whilst they're out. That stuff's all really clever. And then, there's a bit of PvP maybe if you're in an action zone. But I guess you could always shy away from those areas, or like if you're playing on your own, I don't think you kick into any PvP in the Division. And so that alleviates that. And then, the Bungie thing, like, even if they have it similar to that, where there's just certain areas where there might be PvP, or you can go to an island and do PvP if that's your thing, but the main focus of it is the co-op. And that's what my biggest takeaway from E3 is. That's where I think shooters are going to
go. I mean, even with Titanfall, there was this sort of focus on like really trying to blend single player and multiplayer experiences into sort of one all-encompassing thing, which I guess it sort of goes in line with Microsoft's like always on thing. It's like even when you are playing single player, there's always going to be an opportunity to like bring someone else in, or go into someone else's game and like not necessarily like go in to murderize them, like go in and help them do something. It's like it seems like that is sort of the new thing almost. It's like instead of like, all right, there's like single player and multiplayer on like this distinct menu when you start the game. It's like, no, here's the game, and it encompasses both of those things at the same time. Which personally is something I've wanted to see for a really long time. Just like done well and done in a lot of games, which hasn't really like co-op's always been a thing that it's only really, unless it's like the focus of the game, it's always like feels like a bit sort of tacked on, I guess.
I guess it depends on how it's done. I mean, like I think there's always like two kinds of co-op. There's like the purpose-built co-op, and there's the co-op where just you have player two.
Like the co-op in like Gears of War is like it makes sense because there is exactly 4 squad members or whatever. But like in like Halo, when it's
Halo is here's like player. You just have
like these 3 aliens that never show up in the actual game. It's like that's really weird. Like
I think that like the player 2 style co-op, I think that's the most, I guess, harmless in a way, because if it doesn't fundamentally alter the game, then it's like, fine. My mate Dave is over. Oh, you want to play Halo co-op? Yeah, sure, why not? Whereas, if you have like a huge part of your game dedicated to co-op, but you don't have anybody to play it with,
and it doesn't work. Yeah.
kind of fuck. It's like, Left 4 Dead is a good example of that. Like, if you have people to play Left 4 Dead with, I mean, it's hard to argue that Left 4 Dead is better on your own. I mean, that's just not.
Yeah. I mean,
unless you hate playing with people, but
that game is sort of designed around.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I've known people that haven't had people to play it with, or like have got it on Xbox but don't have live, and it's like, yeah, they can't play it with other people, so Left 4 Dead is not really, kind of regarded as much to those people, and it's a fair criticism. It's like, I don't have people to play it with, so tough. Like, it's, I think that I do like co-op stuff, but there's a very delicate balancing act to do co-op, like between doing it right and doing it really wrong.
That's why I find this new like approach sort of interesting, is because it seems like it's trying to allow both styles of play to exist like peacefully, I guess. Like, Watch Dogs looks like an amazing like single player game, and the multiplayer aspects seem really interesting as well. So it's like, even if you like, I haven't really got anyone to play with, it's like, yeah, well, that doesn't really matter that much, because you can just play through the single player. And there's also like, I guess, games sort of adopting the Journey style approach of like anonymous co-op or like anonymous multiplayer, like that whole thing where like, you don't actually have to actively know someone else with the game. Like, you just jump into a game and like,
I think that is cool.
The meeting people kind of aspect of it, which is wraps around to the Dark Souls invasion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That kind of, it's almost like all games are just gradually shifting to be more like MMOs. Like games have gradually shifted to be like RPGs with all the skill bars and stuff. It's just like, well, how about now if people just fucking turn up, and like if you're playing on your own, people could turn up to help you, or if you're playing with your friends, people could turn up to try and hinder you in some sort of PvP aspect.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that just people are dicks. Like, that's the only real downfall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing that the Journey proved is that people can not be dicks, but
but you can't be a dick in Journey. That's
exactly. The thing is, you've got to sort of design the mechanics around preventing people from
Journey,
being dicks.
You cannot like hinder the person you're playing with at all. Whereas if you're playing Halo 5, for example, and it has drop in, drop out co-op, like, I'm joining your game and I'm just going to throw grenades at you because I'm a twat. Like, that people will do that because people are dickheads.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing you have to get around. Like, for example, like in Halo 5, do you just remove friendly fire from it? Like, then that kind of takes away a part of playing co-op in Halo. Like, you do have to take into account that you can deal damage to your partner. But if they take that away because people are often dicks, it alters what it was. So, like, I'd really like to see that stuff in more games, but I just don't think people are mature enough, frankly, to not be twats about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a challenge.
Yeah,
I mean, what I said about the Division, I guess, applies to a lot of these games trying to like, have multiplayer within single player. It's like, it looks interesting. I just hope that it's like implemented properly.
I mean, when it works, it's really cool. Like, if you could have, again, like, just it's an easy example, like Halo 5, like, a dude jumps into your game and like he knows something that you didn't know and like showed you it as, that's really cool. And then like, you carry on playing with that guy or whatever. Vice versa, you jump into somebody else's game and you know something that they didn't know. Like, it has really awesome potential. It's just, people are dicks. So it's just the way it is.
Yep.
Brad, was there anything else?
I'm just trying to think. Yeah. Those were my two like big takeaways. I think John talked a lot about other things I was excited about, like The Division. I'm really looking forward to. I think the only other thing to really mention is before all of this gumph happened, like even before the PS4 press event thingy that they did a long time ago now, I was fairly certain I was gonna stay PC from now on, and I think it's interesting to see that E3 has managed to at least make me consider a console. Obviously, the PS4 is
Yeah, I'm in
to
that
like
boat as
consider
well,
at this point. But yeah,
I felt exactly the same. I was like, yeah, like I kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I'll get into it when I talk, but like this E3 was left me quite apathetic. Like I was like, yeah, like I'll probably get a PS4 at some point, but yeah, like before it, I was like, yeah, I don't really give a fuck. I'm gonna stick with like my current systems on my PC, and in 2 years, when I probably give a damn, I'll get a PS4. So
Yeah.
whereas now I'm like, I actually really want to get a PS4. Like if they can bring out like a handful of, like the only thing that E3 really didn't give me was a holy shit, I need a console moment. Like in the run up to the 360 and PS3, I had that, and I didn't get that this year. So if they can just show like, you know, 1 or 2 more games that I look at, you know, and you get that, just that initial feeling of like, shit, I cannot get that experience on what I have at the moment. I need that console. Like that's kind of what I'm looking for. But it definitely got me like more interested in the new consoles than I thought I was gonna be. So
So yeah, that's pretty much what I had to take away.
cool. I pretty much said most of what I thought about when we recorded earlier in the week. I did see the Arkham Origins stuff that they showed. Like the younger Batman, who like edgier or something, and apparently he kills a dude. Trailer.
I don't think he actually killed a dude because
But he let him go. Like that,
yeah,
that
I
was
guess.
a pretty fucking high
But
roof. And...
DC fans would freak the fuck out. If he
Oh fuck him.
killed dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that stuff looked kind of. I don't know about that. Like, I really don't like that they are sticking with the pseudo open world thing, unless they can actually make it fucking open world, which would be nice. If they can do that, then that is actually cool, because mechanically Arkham City did have some pretty cool stuff in there. It's just that there was just no point to it. Like it was, well, except to get fucking dumbass trophies, and Riddler's secrets. So fuck that. But yeah, like I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see what they'll do with the combat, because I love the combat system in that game, and I hope they expand on it and like really just eliminate like the one and two things that just make that combat system like just brush up against perfect, but like fall flat on its face when it gets there. But that's pretty much it from E3.
Yeah, I mean,
to be honest.
from what I heard, the response to like people actually seeing Arkham Origins being played was sort of lukewarm. Like it looks like another one of those Batman games. Like,
and I don't think they'll. I think the I think like the downfalls in the combat system are just inherent to the engine. I don't really think they can be fixed, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, I've talked about it numerous times, but I'm talking about is like where it just simply trips over itself. Like your button prompts get dropped because for no reason at all. Like, you know, you press counter and your counter doesn't come out and you get hit. Like you go in, like it's happened a couple of times when I've been playing the survival mode. Like I'll go for my combo takedown and like he'll go right up to the dude, like start the animation, and then my combo will just die for no reason. And like it's infuriating because it's like it's just a couple of things that on the surface they seem like that has got to be pretty fucking easy to fix, right? And it would make the combat system just insanely amazing. Like I would probably like die playing it because I just play it forever. But like from what I've seen of it, like it must be like a game level thing that they just cannot solve, because surely they would fix it. Like it's hard to explain, but it's like that's the thing that I really wish they would fix in that game, but I'm not sure if they can do it. And like I mean, I'll definitely play Arkham Origins. Likewise with Arkham City, though, like I'm more bothered about the mission mode because I think the mission mode is the best thing about those games. Unless they change the kind of scope for the story mode. The reason I enjoy the mission mode so much is because they make better use of the mechanics than the story mode ever does. Like, I think that was more the case in Arkham Asylum. Like the combat challenges in Arkham Asylum really made you like find out the depth that system had, whereas the story mode was a fucking joke. It was like the most you ever got like 6 dudes at once, which is ridiculous. Like that's just no threat at all. And they left all that stuff in the mission mode, which most people don't really play a lot. So, like, if they can change that up, then that'd be cool.
I mean, maybe that's the whole point. Is that
Yeah, I guess. I just think it's a shame that they kind of waste the system in a way. Like, it's I'm not talking like go full on, combat mission in the story mode that you can't get past, that is essential to get past, to progress in the game, because I think that does lock it to people that don't want to take it to that level. But maybe introduce some of that stuff in like a harder mode, or have like a different setting. Like, just bring some of that stuff into the story mode, like to give me a reason to play it again, other than, hey, there's a shitload of collectibles. Like, if they could bring that stuff in, I just think it'd be cool, and it maybe get more people to discover it. So that's just what I think would be nice for Arkham Origins. I'd already talked about the Infamous stuff. Like the development that like you steal people's powers is pretty interesting, but I'd really like to see more of that, just kind of uninterrupted. See what they're doing differently from Infamous 2. I was going to get Festival of Blood this week, but I have to fucking sort out some shit with my PSN account to be able to play it. So
Festival of Blood is pretty cool. As far as I remember,
I really want to play it, but just like the email address I have originally tied to my account, I've deactivated, and I can't
oh god,
go to
that
my
sounds like a nightmare.
I can't go to my old email account to get the email to reset my email, so I'm fucked basically. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I can solve that somehow, and play, because I want to keep my data. I don't want to have to make an entirely new account.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do want to play Festival of Blood, and I really want to see the new things they could do with like a new set of powers. Or
yes, yeah.
I think that'd be really.
I think there's a decent amount of gameplay. I think there's some stuff on Giant Bomb and just floating around the internet in general. So, yeah, I'll check that out. Obviously, I don't think I actually watch it myself, but
I'd like to see more of that stuff.
My only concern with that game is the main character, but I mean, almost anything is an improvement over Cole, just because Cole was sort of this like blank slate sort of dude. Like,
yeah, I think. Do you think they'll keep the morality system? Like, if they confirm that or anything? Because
I don't think they talked about that.
Because I'd like to see them. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I'd kind of like to see them do away with that.
Yeah.
Because Infamous 1 and 2, like Infamous 1, I think it hurt more because like they just made the evil powers like so much better than the good powers. Like, just no question about it. Infamous 2, I think they did a better job of balancing them out. I think the good powers are still quite obviously better, but you were able to do quite significantly different things with the evil route, and likewise with the good route. So if they kind of just do away with that and just let you choose your upgrades, I think that's a better way of doing it. And it removes like the whole, this ending's better, this ending's not as good, or whatever.
Yeah. One more thing from E3 that I've just remembered, because you said morality, was the Walking Dead new episode 400 Days, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Which is like the sort of like season 1.5, I guess, is like the episode to sort of hold you over until season 2 comes out, which I think Patrick and Alex played a bit of from Giant Bomb, and they said it was really interesting. So yeah, I'm sort of excited for that, because apparently season 2 is coming this year, which is awesome. Yeah, Walking Dead is cool.
I don't know. I've got my reservations about that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I guess this episode will be really interesting because it sort of will show what they are capable of with non-established characters. Like, here's new characters that you don't really have any connection with. Like, can we do something can we repeat the same trick twice? Which, I mean, if they can't,
well, I mean, the characters in season 1 were, they were only established.
Yeah, I guess.
Post the first episode.
This is like completely new set of characters. So
yeah, I really don't want them to go back to those characters though for season 2. We've talked about The Walking Dead at length, but
yeah,
I really was all set to play it again, but when I finished it, I was like, no, like that's kind of that.
I wonder if there'll be some sort of preview thing at the end of this new episode of season 2, because I mean, if it's coming this year, then they must have at least something done. from the sounds of it, those like each of those episodes was like still in development, like as the previous one was being released. So obviously they're not.
Yeah. And they were far from like perfect. Like execution wise, there was a lot of shit wrong with that. So if they can, fix that, that would be nice.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're coming later this year, then that gives them, I suppose, the possibility that they'll be on the new consoles. Which,
if they're digital, I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't be. Like they're not going to do like disc releases, are they? So it'll just be a simple case of getting them on, the relevant store in time.
Yeah. That was okay.
Cool.
I think
that's pretty much it for me, E3. To be honest, I did check out the Titanfall stuff and the Destiny stuff. I got to be honest, I was very, very underwhelmed with both. I don't want to play favorites, but like especially with Titanfall, that stuff didn't really do anything for me. I like mechs. I like shooting people, but I don't know. There was just something about it that didn't really grab me. It didn't really do much for me. The Destiny stuff, like just the co-op stuff, interests me a little bit more, but that's pretty much it. I don't know. I just feel really, really tired of shooters in general.
Yeah.
I think that's more the case. I think that's more the case with me. I think those games look great, and I'm sure they'll be like superb, but I'm just so tired of shooting people.
Yeah.
It's. I really want to take a break from shooting people in the face with guns.
Yeah.
I really want to do something. I really want something different than that.
Yeah. I mean, what Bungie have said about Destiny has sort of been, I wouldn't say misleading. It's just been really hard to actually understand what they are talking about when they talk about the game. But I mean, from what I've heard, it just like people have just described it as a better Borderlands, which I'm pretty much all for. Especially because it's not going to have any of the stupid fucking terrible humor of the Borderlands games, so that's a big plus for me.
Like I've got a lot of faith in Bungie as a developer. I think they have earned that, to be quite frank. So I'm sure that they'll do interesting stuff. It's just whether or not like I'll be in the mood for a shooter by the time it is out is just another question. So I guess I'll just wait and see with regards to that. That's pretty much it for me on E3, to be honest. Very kind of meh E3 for me personally. Not a lot of stuff that I, personally give a shit about, to be honest.
Yeah. There are a few things that I was like, I wish this company had, revealed something, or like I sort of wanted to see what Naughty Dog's next thing was. I want to see what that game company were doing like after Journey. So yeah, and I sort of want to see like Walking Dead season 2. But I mean, I guess
my main thing with E3 was like I got the feeling of like what we're seeing, we're not really seeing anything that is completely new. Like I got like a lot of my overall feeling was we're seeing stuff that like we kind of already have, but done better, and obviously looking a lot better, and that's kind of it. Like I don't really, as I said, like in the run up to this current gen, I saw stuff that I'd never seen before, and I didn't get that from this E3 at all.
Yeah.
So. And I was very disappointed with the Watch Dogs demo, actually. I just saw that on my notes that I forgot to talk about. I was very disappointed in that. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that.
I mean, I think I mentioned that, like, the demo itself didn't look that great, but I mean...
Yeah, it was like...
From what I've heard, it sounds like the actual, like, when it's, when it's actually being played, it's way more interesting than that.
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of hard to sell. Like if they're going to follow on that kind of setup, it's hard to sell that in in a gameplay demo of like 2 minutes. It's hard to sell that stuff. That's fine, but I was just kind of hoping they would, at least try a little harder, I guess. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Cool.
Pretty underwhelming E3.
I would hardly call it underwhelming. I thought it was.
Oh no, I mean aside from the console stuff, like the games they showed,
Even still, I would say I
Yeah.
was pretty fucking stoked coming out of
It's
E3.
pretty funny. It's pretty like the Sony press conference. Like I was like 4 a.m. when that finished, and I like couldn't get to sleep because I was like, that was just like like for me personally, it wasn't. I mean, it was really interesting, and like seeing it, be like 350 quid. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I'll probably buy that. But like it was like sort of just the whole crowd reaction thing was just like, and like them directly going after Microsoft and just such a. It was funny, and like I haven't had like
I like
haven't
that
had an
stuff, but,
E3
like,
press conference like
Yeah, but-
I don't know, do that. I guess it's just
I agree. That stuff is cool, but like that's not game shit. That's
Yeah.
not like, oh my god, I want to play this game. And maybe I'm just fucking old, but I don't know. I did not feel like we saw anything where I was like, holy shit, I've never seen that before. I need that in my life now. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess that's sort of
I didn't feel like we saw anything like that. And if
That-
I missed that, then point me to it.
yeah. I mean, I guess that sort of comes with the whole like the consoles now. There hasn't been like the big thing. I guess like I mean last gen it was obviously like HD was like the big like switch, and it was like.
Yeah.
It was a massive like visible thing. You could like see this, massive like increase in fidelity and stuff and resolution, obviously. And that with that, like people were like, oh shit, this generation's crazy. And it's like that hasn't really been that. That hasn't been something like that to, I guess, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
spin on the next
I agree with
generation.
that. I'm not just talking about visuals. I mean, like the visual stuff they showed was.
But I mean, even
It
like
was-
with that, I mean, it like I don't know. I guess that sort of sparked like innovation. I guess people were like, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I
we've got these like HD like textures. We can make stuff look better, I guess, and do more interesting worlds and everything like that." And like that hasn't been that thing. I guess that thing. I wish that thing was like the Oculus Rift being like more, I don't know, prominent. Like everyone supporting Oculus Rift, because like that seems like a really really interesting device, and it just doesn't seem like either of the console producers are like supporting it actively.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not that fussed about that to be at the moment. Maybe I will be later, but I just feel like this E3 was like made me feel really old in a lot of ways, and it's kind of weird to say that. It's like because a lot of people I've spoken to like were like really hyped, and I was just kind of like, not really. Like there wasn't really anything that I was like, yeah,
yeah.
I need that. I don't know. Like maybe it's just me. There was nothing. I'm trying to think of.
D4. Did D4 not do it for you? Swery 65's new joint.
No, I
I was just amazed to hear like someone say Swery 65 on like an E3 stage.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like acclaimed developer Swery 65. Like, did you like see Deadly Premonition? Do you know what that is? It's like.
I imagine that's probably a pretty easy pitfall to fall into, though. I guess like
Yeah.
Deadly Premonition has got a very, very
Yeah, I mean, like if
dedicated
you didn't know,
following.
Yeah,
If you don't know what it is, like you could easily sound quite ignorant
Yeah.
with regards to it. But yeah, like I want something. I'm really trying to think of like the last time I felt it when I saw a game like being showed. And
Last of Us did that for me last year. Definitely, like seeing that at Sony's press conference was like, I was excited for games of this generation, which
yeah, and on a side note, I guess I feel like this generation has got a lot of flack. I feel, not all of it, most of it probably not really deserved. Like think of where games were like in 2004.
Yeah.
And think of where they are now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's kind of like this generation hasn't been that long, but like, you know what I mean? Kind of the kind of games that were coming out then, as opposed to what games are now and what we have now. Like maybe I'm just overestimating. Maybe I'm just being a bit impatient. I want that jump immediately. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. So
yeah, I mean, like,
impatient.
Yeah, if you say like look at games of 2004, then look at games of 2005. Like there wasn't that.
Yeah, I am kind of expecting like I want it to be blown away.
Yeah, I mean, I think it always takes like a couple of years for like developers to get comfortable with the console and like to come up with new ideas and be confident in like and publishers being like, yeah, okay, we'll fund new ideas. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
which actually was something that like it seems like a lot of publishers are doing that now, because I mean there were quite a lot of new IPs like
It was Mirror's Edge 2, actually. I just thought that I am
Mirror's Edge 2.
absolutely fucking gleeful that
Yeah.
there's going to be a Mirror's Edge 2.
That was so crazy to me, is like seeing people being like, oh god, Mirror's Edge 2, when it was like I feel like people don't remember that game. I mean, like I like that game like a lot. Like I really appreciate like what it tried to do and the aesthetic and stuff. But like I feel like people like for some reason think that game was way better than it actually was.
I kind of disagree with that. That is a game that is. It reminds me of either PNO3 is a pretty good frame of reference. I don't know if you guys have ever played that. It's a GameCube game. Does that ring any bells? Anyway,
No.
It's got a very, very quirky and like very unorthodox control system. You know, like Mirror's Edge, that takes a very, very long time to get used to. But once you get used to it, it's fine. And I just think most people don't have the patience to get used to those kind of control schemes.
Yeah.
Because, like I was talking to a guy at work about Mirror's Edge, and he said kind of the exact same thing. And he says, "Oh, you know, like it's completely random whether or not you make jumps." And I said, "Like, no, it isn't. Like, it's not random at all. It's just hard to figure out, and you really like. There's no system in there to tell you, hey, you're going to make this jump. You just have to know you're going to make it. You just have to know distance. You have to know how far you can jump. You have to know how collision works when you're going to grab a pole or jump off a wall, or your button timings. Like, it's all there. It's just you have to find it. You know, it's not given to you. And like I think that's where that argument, in my opinion, really does fall apart. Like Mirror's Edge is quirky, but there's nothing really mechanically broken about it. It just takes
Guns.
Yeah,
Guns are terrible.
yeah, but you
Like-
never needed to use them ever.
Yeah, but
never
being shot by guns sucked.
Yeah, but it was easy to avoid them. You never needed to use guns. There is a fucking achievement for beating the game without using a gun. Like, it's like I don't know. Like I just feel very strongly about like that criticism towards Mirror's Edge. Like watch speedruns of that game. Watch speedruns of it and tell me that the mechanics don't work. Like
Yeah, but I mean, like, you can be really good at a game. That doesn't mean that the mechanics are
I'm not talking about
100%
being good at-
perfect. It's like,
yeah,
but if you play a game enough, like, where you get used to the quirks, then
but but that's kind of my point. Like, you know,
but then that means that like pretty much every game ever is perfect, because
no,
every
it
game
doesn't.
has
Because I mean, there's broken
quirks.
stuff in games.
Well, yeah, there's broken stuff, but there's games that are quirky and don't really like work,
Yeah, but I would
but
call
are
that
still not
broken.
broken.
I would call that broken. I wouldn't call that quirky.
I mean, I wouldn't call Mirror's Edge broken. I would just say that
It's just unusual. It's very unusual. Like there's nothing like Mirror's Edge. Like think about there is.
but that doesn't
nothing like that game.
automatically make it good.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm defending it on a mechanical level. There's nothing like it, so it takes a long time.
But I mean, that's not my argument against the game. I would just say that the mechanics are fine and they do work once you get used to them. It's one, the guns suck. Two, the story wasn't there at all. And three,
the story was. But I am
running and jumping doesn't carry a game for like 8 hours or whatever. Like
no, and I'm not saying it's a masterpiece. I'm just purely.
But that's what I mean is like people people are like on the internet are like, oh my god, Mirror's Edge 2, when it's like
that. I agree with that definitely, but
I think people are more like, oh, Mirror's Edge 2, I can't believe they're making that, but are instead saying, oh, Mirror's Edge 2, like Mirror's Edge 1 was amazing.
I do agree with that, but I do not agree with like, oh, Mirror's Edge was didn't work. So no.
Oh no, it did work.
It
obviously.
worked. It just it didn't spell everything out to you, like which fucking every game does now. Well, maybe not every game, but like the need for instant gratification like frustrates me sometimes. Like people don't want to put any work into being rewarded in a game anymore. Like, and that is a very old man-y fucking game attitude, but it's true. Like if a game requires like even like a little bit of investment, it's like, oh no, I'm not interested. Like I don't care.
I guess that's what I'm interested to see how well The Last of Us does, because that game has things that like
I really am excited to hear you talk about that, because I've heard like the rumblings I've heard, like they fix my main problem with Uncharted. So I'm kind of
I'm interested to see how people like just normal people who don't play like loads of games, who are like, oh, those are the guys who played Uncharted. I like that. Like, I want to see what they think, because it has stuff where it can be quite difficult at times, I guess. And it like obviously there's like the whole ammo scarcity thing, like, you know, like you've got like 6 bullets as opposed to like, you know,
a billion.
Yeah. And like
why are we playing
there's no
around?
like
You
objective
basically have
markers and
unlimited ammo
stuff.
in every fucking shooter now. Like,
Yeah.
is ammo like ever? Oh my god, I'm low on ammo.
Yeah.
Like in Call of Duty, like you start a level with like 800 bullets. Like it takes 2 to 3 bullets to kill an enemy. You know, like, do you really have ammo constraints anymore? Like they're long gone. And like if they can make that stuff work, I'm all for it. I can't explain my like excitement to play The Last of Us, but I don't know. Like I have a feeling about that game.
It's cool.
So I guess that's as good as a segue as any. John, what have you been playing this week?
Big shock! I played The Last of Us.
Tell us about that. How is that game?
That game's really interesting.
Where's
it feels like it's funny. A lot of people being like, "Oh, it's like the anti-Uncharted," which I guess on a sort of tone level, I agree with. Like, it doesn't have the sort of like upbeat sort of outlook. I guess it's very dark, grim. Like, there's not really much hope. People just straight up die. Like, that was sort of one of my problems with Uncharted, is like, I think it pulled the trick quite a lot where like, oh, someone's dead, or oh, someone's like evil, and then it's like, oh no, like 2 hours later they're not. It's like they're actually
like Uncharted 2. I felt I got pretty tired of that when I played Uncharted 2. Like, how many? What's the woman from Pitch Black's name in that?
Oh god!
How many times is like it played? Oh, she's not on your side. Oh, she's fucked you over. Oh no, she's not. Like that.
She's in so much.
That got very tiresome. She was in Gears 3 as well.
What's
her name?
Someone. I think her last name's Black. I just can't remember her first name.
Oh, and I know the actress's name. I mean the character's name in Uncharted 2. What's her name?
God.
In Uncharted 2?
No idea. Like,
anyway, but yeah, like that stuff got old like the 3rd time it happened. And
yeah.
Maybe that's one more than it did, but yeah, it definitely got a little bit predictable.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably about 6 hours in, and it like hasn't pulled anything like that, which is interesting. And like it tries to address, I guess, the issue with Uncharted, where it was like, you know, Drake is a mass murderer basically, but he's like this, you know, he's like this wisecracking dude in like cutscenes and stuff, and he's like, he never actually mentions the fact that he's murdered like thousands of people, which
I think that's more the tone of Uncharted though. Like, it's not really put across as
yeah, I know, but it was a thing people had an issue with, and I guess they've taken that criticism on board. And like, yeah, the main character Joel is like, he has seen some shit, and he has been in some shit, and he's done some shitty things, or like a lot of that's, you know, suggested.
Yeah, like Nathan Drake has killed thousands of people, and it has no bearing on him.
Yeah, he's not like, it's not like he like goes home and like drinks himself into a daze and then like
he's like, oh yeah, killed 24 people today.
Yeah,
let's go home and watch TV.
Yeah,
or go home and do whatever Nathan Drake does when he goes home.
Yeah, but I guess like I guess the ways in which it isn't is like, it has, I guess, obviously the graphical fidelity, like that game looks, you know. Really
I've got to agree. What I've seen of that game looks fucking incredible.
It feels like it's like pushing right up against the limits of like what the PS3 can do, and
you could, like, if you hadn't seen it, like if you saw that game, you could believe that was like not on current systems. In my opinion. I think it looks that good. I'm not much of a graphics person, but like that game is fucking impressive.
Yeah, and like hearing people from Naughty Dog talk about it. It's like something it was that was like one of the biggest like sticking points of that game, is just trying to like give it that sort of look throughout the game.
Wasn't it?
And, like,
I've heard that isn't there like a 30 gig install or something for that?
oh,
game?
that's
a lot.
yeah, something to do with like the well, it's partly the PSN store sort of fucked in terms of like you have to like install 2 copies of the game or something, or download.
Yeah, I did
copies
hear
of the
about
game.
that. Have you like, cleared that up at all, or do you just have to?
Well, I
straight
mean,
install
there's
it
no
twice?
issue when it's on the disc, so I don't really know personally. I haven't had to make any crazy installs. It's been fine, and I'm just running on like an 8 gig. So I mean, if it was 60 gig, I think I would know by now because
Yeah,
I
true.
don't have any memory. God, what else? Yeah, so like obviously it has those graphics, them graphics are good.
All the graphics.
Get all the polygons.
It has all the polygons.
They stole them all.
The PS3 can possibly handle. A lot of the
Sorry, just what you were saying about Naughty Dog. Like, did they actually say anything with regards to like kind of the potential of the PS3 they're using, or because it seems like that changes with every PS3 exclusive. It's like, oh, we're using like 98% of the PS3, and then
I don't think they said
they come
anything.
out with something else, and it's like, nope, we're still not using all of the PS3. Like,
No,
is there anything left in that thing? Like, I know it's big.
I think they're pushing 100%. Probably. I'd have to imagine because
Yeah.
that game just looks really good. Yeah, I mean, something I talked about with Uncharted a lot was like, I feel like Naughty Dog. It's sort of unfortunate they feel like the sole masters of like realistic character interaction in video games. I guess The Walking Dead would probably be like the other game that does this. Like, people talk in a way and act in a way that is, completely believable. And
yeah,
like,
I agree with that definitely. Even
if it was in like a movie or a TV, that it wouldn't look out of place. And like, it's just characters have really interesting dialogue, and they can be funny, they can be serious, whatever. It's like,
I think they show the
no
best
other game
understanding.
does it well. It's just it's quite depressing actually. It's like
I agree with
come so far in terms of like mechanics and graphics, and yet like only like
We're still
2
fucking up on
developers in
that.
the world can like do proper character interaction. It's
Yeah, I think I think the main flaw that there is in that is that they don't treat it as its own medium. Like, they know how to make it work in the context of a game, and that's the most important thing. We're just going to try and make this like a movie, but it's actually a game. Like, it doesn't work. Like, before you set out, like, you're doing it wrong from the very start, because you're not trying to do it for a game. You're trying to do it like like a movie, but make it work. Like, you need to set out from the start to do it in a game, not do it in one, just port it to the other.
I mean, like, some of that comes in cutscenes, and some of that, like, the really interesting stuff comes from like just walking around the environment, like during like the quiet moments. I guess there's like you're like walking around like abandoned shops and stuff, and like there's a bit where you walk into a record store, and like Ellie, who's like the female companion, like the teenager that you.
How old? I was gonna say, how old is she?
I think she definitely says 14.
Oh, okay.
She definitely states her age. I think it's 14. Yeah, like she's like just looking at vinyls and commenting on like how sad it is that no one's really going to get to listen to them again. And it's like you could completely miss that if you just ignored that store. And there's a quite an interesting mechanic which I've noticed where like characters will like initiate dialogue by like your actions as Joel. So like if you like say you're like in a building and you have the opportunity, you like walk into a building and then I'm trying to think of a way to put this. Like a cutscene ends and you're like in a building and it's like, okay, walk over here to like leave the building, or walk around and like explore for supplies. Like if you like walk off from sort of the main path and start looking around, like Joel will like say to like the characters that were with him, I'm just gonna have a look around and like look for supplies. And it's not like you like pressed a button to like do that.
That's really good actually, because that's
just
something
you
that
walking off and like doing it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna look for supplies," or
that's
or
always
like you'll
something
say, "Well, yeah, I'll have a look around for stuff before we move on." And
that is always something that's like missing, like kind of on the fly dialogue. Like you can, like like some games have like idle animations, like I think some off the top of my head. Devil May Cry 1 has them. If you just kind of stand there and do nothing, Dante will actually do something. Like he'll like if depending on what weapon you have, he'll like do something with the weapon as like an idle animation. Like and yeah, like I think that stuff is very absent from certain games. Like you can just like when it's kind of left up to you to do something. If you just like stand there and do nothing, like they don't do anything, they don't say anything to you, or if you do something like that, you're not like if you do something that's sort of not what they expect you to do, they don't react to it at all. It's like, we're just going to wait for you to do what we need you to do, and then the game will continue.
Yeah. I guess an extension of that is it does a lot of intelligent. It doesn't like there's no big dot on your screen like go here or like someone like a map or compass or anything. It's like there's not really much of a HUD. And like it does a lot of like it sort of tells you your objectives through the dialogue. Like someone will mention, oh, over there is like a thing, like we should have a look at that, or like it's not like there's not something popping up on the screen like you should go over here and do this. It's like just people just talking, which I think is probably one of the best ways to do it. I mean, as long as you're listening to what they say, like it works.
Is there any like system in there in case you miss it? Like, can you go to like a?
There was only one situation where I was sort of fucking around. I wasn't like stuck. I was just sort of like looking around, like, and then like I think a hint thing comes up eventually. Like if you're stuck in the same area for like 10 minutes, then it's gonna be like, oh, you should maybe go over here. Like, I think that's as close as it comes to like having like an objective marker, but it's usually quite. They do a thing which I thought was quite funny, in like buildings that'll have like exit signs, and basically if you follow the exit signs, you're gonna like get to the other end of the building that you need to be in. It's like these exit signs don't actually make sense. It's like they're like going upstairs. It's like but yeah,
I guess they still have to realize it's a game, though. I think that's fine.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what's like the kind of setup for the game, like without spoiling?
I mean, I don't want to go into it too much because like there's a lot of like I'd managed to get into this game pretty much. I wouldn't say like spoiler free, but like all I pretty much knew was Apocalypse, Joel, and Ellie. Let's go on a journey thing.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much all the setup I had. So the game has a really interesting prologue with like a really, really well done prologue, which I won't spoil because that's probably one of the best bits of the game so far.
Yeah, I've heard like the beginning is like holy shit.
Yeah, and then like after that, like it's like 20 years into the apocalypse. This like some semblance of sort of order, I guess. There's like still sort of a government. There's like troops that like run these like quarantined areas of certain cities. And yeah, you start in the city with a woman that you live with called Tess. It's not really. That's something I appreciate again. Is it doesn't really. There's no really exposition, I guess. People don't just stand there and be like, I am Tess. This is my relationship with Joel. Like 6 hours in, I don't really know the full extent of their relationship.
I am video game character A.
Yeah.
I am video game character B.
Yeah. Like a lot of our stuff's done. It's done just through like incidental dialogue, and like there's a lot of like notes in the environment that you can pick up and read and stuff, and that's it. I keep like remembering things that are awesome about this game. It's like the letters and stuff. Like I guess it's sort of similar to the audio log stuff in BioShock Infinite, except done better because none of that stuff's integral to the plot, but it just like it just adds like flavor to the universe, I guess. And I've had one situation where I found a letter and then like gave it to another character, which has only happened once so far, but like that led to a sort of like an interesting little bit of dialogue from one of the characters, and like I guess it infers stuff about characters, but it sort of leaves you to like fill in the blanks. And it does that with this Tess character. You're in this apartment and you go out looking for this dude who's apparently like stole a bunch of weapons off you. But you've got to like escape the quarantine zone, which isn't really allowed. The government is sort of tight on that, and then some shit goes down. There's like a group of rebels called the Fireflies who are like sort of like fuck the government. We do what we want. And they end up fucking shit up, and then you get stuck with this girl Ellie and end up trying to like go like across the country sort of to deliver it to this other group.
Like, government hasn't like completely collapsed. Then.
No, it's like that was something I didn't have any idea, but I thought it was like full on apocalypse. But it's like I'm trying to think it's sort of a bit like Children of Men, I guess. You've seen, except it's maybe a bit of a worse situation. Like it's sort of more fucked up than Children of Men, but there is still government. I think there's definitely like authority figures, I guess. And then you're on this trip with Ellie, and shit happens a lot.
It sounds like it's hard to talk about this without spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I like almost don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to say the reason that I'm not talking more in depth about it, because even that would probably.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna take the plunge. I'll probably buy it tomorrow and see how it is. See what all the hoopla is about.
I mean, I get.
Sorry, can I?
Yeah, no, you
move on too
ahead.
far. I've been waiting to say something for ages, but I didn't want to interrupt you. The thing you talked about with the letter, that you were able to take it to a character and then get more exposition on how that affected their character. That's actually kind of cool. Like an interesting way to use the kind of audio log idea, which is generally overused and kind of getting stale in games now as a way of delivering backstory, but of a way of like, you get this item and then you have to take it to someone. I guess it's just another layer of obscuration of the data, but it kind of seems like a more natural way to discover that information, if you know what I mean. Like you found something and then it allows you to probe someone deeper about their past and then find out more. It sounds cool.
Definitely. It is interesting. Like that bit's sort of that bit's quite a minor part of the story. Like I don't think the character that I gave that letter to will figure like further in the story, just because like once you've done like the bit with him, you end up like driving like miles away. So I sort of want to talk about that bit because it's like the letter is like from a dude, like it's actually like addressed to that dude. It just like never got to him, and like you give it to him and he's like it's not like a cutscene. Like I mean, well, the bit where you give it to him is like a little tiny cutscene, and then you can just walk around and like you could just not listen to him talk, but he's just like, oh, that's what a piece of shit thought about me, fucking stupid idiot. And it's like, but it's actually like there's like a sort of deep, sort of complex relationship there, which you could pretty much miss out on if you like didn't pick up that letter. But I mean, that's not like a major character. It's not really majorly important to the plot. It's just. It sort of explains why that character is the way he is, and it is just an interesting like little addition to the universe, I guess. And like that's the problem I had with Bioshock Infinite is like the God, what the hell were they called? The voxophones were like some of them were really integral to like the plot making any sense, and it's like. That's not the way they should be done.
You can miss that stuff. I mean, I think like what Brad was saying is true. Like, I think like audio logs, being used as a way to tell backstory and give more depth to a world or something. Like when it's done right, it's really cool. But when it's done wrong, it just looks really lazy.
Yeah.
It's like a really lazy way to do it. Like, like Bioshock. I mean, I haven't played Bioshock Infinite, but I felt that criticism is not necessarily as appropriate in the first Bioshock, but there is some pretty important stuff in those audio logs in Bioshock that if you don't get them, you miss out on some backstory.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Bioshock's story is stand up on its own anyway, but it does enhance the story even more if you do find that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think like hiding integral parts of the plot just isn't the way to do it. But like using. It rewards exploration by adding flavor to the universe. I think if it's done well, that is, which I think The Last of Us has been doing well so far from what I've played. I guess obviously the other pillar would be the combat, or like I guess the encounters, because you can like stealth through a lot of the encounters.
Is it always better to stealth? Like is it kind of like realistic combat? You're not going to be taking out like 12 dudes.
It's all
because I mean, like in Uncharted, like you fucking just mow through.
Yeah. I mean, like... you don't have the ammo really usually to kill like that many dudes, and like all the health or really the ability, just because you will just get swarmed and like Like in a lot of in some situations, stealth just isn't possible, I guess. And like sometimes like running away, I guess, is like the other option, which can actually be a legitimate option in some situations. Just like there's just way too many dudes, just run for the exit basically.
Yeah.
Which can be, it's actually quite intense. If like, the music's pounding and you can hear like dudes chasing you and shit. It's just like, all right, I've got like one bullet. I don't really think combat is an option here. I'm just gonna fucking leg it. Yeah. So Joel sort of has like, it's sort of contextualized quite well in the universe. He has this sort of like, I don't know what I'd really call it. I wouldn't really call it like detective vision because it's not as encompassing as that. But basically, there has like, you can like focus his hearing, so you can sort of like identify where like dudes are within like a certain radius, which sort of makes the stealth like actually work. Because if it was just like completely blind, just running in, it would probably get a bit boring in the end. Just have a dude like come out of nowhere and say, oh well, I couldn't fucking see him, like that's bullshit. Like I think like the whole like focusing your hearing thing does help to make the stealth enjoyable. Yeah, that game's, it's pretty brutal, I guess. Like the melee stuff is, it's sort of like contextual in the environment. So if you're like punching a dude and he's like next to a wall, like your finishing move will be like you grabbing his head and just ramming it into the wall and like, big blood splatter or whatever. Or if it's like on like the corner of like a desk, you'll like do some nasty shit with his head and the desk. I'm sure you can imagine. God, what else is there? He's like, there's a few like curb stompy sort of moves. They're pretty nasty. Oh, there's one particularly nasty one. I was playing it with my friends the other day, and there's like, if you just like standing punching a dude, and there's nothing really around for him to like, slam their head into, you'll just punch them like directly in the throat, and that one's pretty brutal. Yeah. And there's obviously the sort of zombie enemies, I guess, or like the infected dudes who there's like two main classes so far, like the runners who were sort of basically like humanoid, like they can see and they can run at you and get all in your face. And then there's like the clickers who were like blind but see by like sound, so you got to be sneaky as fuck with those guys. But you can't just like with normal dudes, you can just go behind them and strangle them, but like they can't be strangled, so you need to craft a shiv to stab them in the neck. So usually, like, because shivs are like the crafting items for shivs can be quite rare, so it's usually
you only
use
a shiv
just,
once.
As you get upgrades, they become more durable. Like a shiv is like, when you first start the game, it can only be used once, but now I think the upgrade to use it like twice before it breaks.
Yeah.
So, usually the best option there is to just like maybe kill one just to get them out your way, and then just sneak past the rest. And there's a whole like crafting thing where you can craft like Molotovs, or like one of the interesting decisions, I guess, is like this items that you use for Molotovs are the same items that you use for the medical kit. So that's sort of a choice. It's like, well, it's like
how do they contextualize that?
I think it's like a
well, we've got a choice. We've got a bunch of bandages, or we can stuff them in alcohol and lob them at people.
Pretty much, it's like rags and alcohol are the two components that you use for both. So like,
oh yeah, I see that actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was a pretty good way of doing it.
You heal yourself, or be fucking manly and make a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah.
Or just drink. Just drink straight from
Or just do both. Drink fire.
Yeah, just drink.
And that will
set it on fire and then drink it. That's the only way to live life.
God, what else? Yeah, you can build like shivs. There's like a sort of pipe bomby thing, which is pretty brutal. And there's like a smoke bomb thing, I guess. So that sort of aids your stealthiness. But yeah, that game's really interesting. Yes.
What the hell is the multiplayer in that game?
I have no idea. I haven't played it yet. Apparently it's interesting, but I really don't know.
I can't work out where multiplayer fits into.
Maybe it's like infected versus people. Like...
Apparently, I mean, there are. It's sort of like that universe where there's like bandits, I guess, like just regular humans with guns, and
Yeah.
creatures. So I think it's just like two bandit factions going after each other. I think that's how it works. I'm not really 100% sure, but yeah. Last of Us is really interesting.
Well, hopefully next week we'll be able to talk about it because
Yeah,
we'll be able to get it tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to get the story finished by next week because
Yeah.
obviously talk about that shit.
Brad, have you don't have a PS3, do you? So you can't
Nope.
play that.
Oh well.
Well, we'll just have to spoil the whole thing for you then. Yeah.
Just have to miss out again.
Honestly, I've never been interested in anything Naughty Dog have made in the life cycle of the PS3, so I'm sure I'll live.
I'm kind of in that boat with you up until The Last of Us. I think said it before, like Uncharted is solid, and that is pretty much it. Like
Uncharted is not a game I'd ever want to play. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just
Uncharted 2 is good. Like Uncharted 2 is a good
no,
time.
I'm not. I'm saying literally zero things about the quality of the game. It's just my interest for playing a game like that. It's very
Did you
Yeah.
finish Uncharted 3, John?
Yep.
How does that end? Like I will never finish Uncharted 3. Like how does that really kind of wrap up?
Not super well,
Is,
basically. Just sort of.
does it leave it open for a sequel? Is it? Like,
I mean, I guess, but like it's just sort of,
blatantly leave it open for a sequel. Or...
well, no, it's not. It's not like, oh, and let's go on our next adventure. It's
Yeah.
it just sort of ends like happy ending, like him and God, is she Chloe?
I have no idea. I can't remember. There's the blonde-haired one and there's the dark.
Yes, the blonde haired one. He like proposes to her or something,
Oh, okay.
and that's pretty much the end. It doesn't end super well, unfortunately. It's annoying because it sets up some interesting things with the villains, but doesn't execute really very well on any of them, which sucks. But that game's still good. It's no Uncharted 2, obviously, because that game was like when that game first came out, that was crazy. But yeah, yeah. So that was The Last of Us. I did play some other stuff. I think I mentioned I've finished Dark Souls over the last week. That game sort of. It's awesome. Like I will say that. I sort of find it got a bit. I wouldn't say easy, but easier after Bradle. No, the two dudes in Anno Londo, Ornstein and Smo.
They are
Yeah.
typically considered the hardest bosses in the main game.
Yeah, like after those dudes, it was sort of. It wasn't like a walk. Like
Is that sort of a perspective thing though? Like after that, like holy shit, now everything else is nowhere near as hard.
If you've got the
Or-
DLC, which I assume you are playing on console, so you don't
no.
necessarily. The DLC bosses are like fuck off hard. But I haven't got that far.
Yeah. I pretty much maintain what I said last week. Like that game demands a state of mind which a lot of other games don't, and it's just up to the player, I guess, to get used to them.
It's really interesting. I'd really enjoy it.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like was the walk up to the last boss. Because-
Yeah. My cousin had the same issue actually when he got to the last boss. He basically got to the last boss and said, "Oh, the last boss is really easy," and then accidentally died on it, and then couldn't be asked to do the walk back to the last
yeah,
boss.
the walk back's a bit. It's not that long. Like it probably takes about 5-10 minutes. It's just. It's sort of like it's only like 5 dudes, but it's like each of those dudes is like sort of can hit pretty hard, so you got to be like on your shit and like sort of tedious to kill.
You can't
so.
rest on your laurels and just
No.
kind of walk.
You can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna run through and
Yeah,
slash
yeah.
these dudes and then But I mean, that's pretty much the case for that whole game. It's just
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a game where you can play on autopilot
Yeah.
and do well.
some people can, but they're crazy people. So fuck those dudes. Finish that. That game's radical. I'm excited for Dark Souls 2, which is not a thing I thought I would ever say, but one thing I would recommend.
Have
is,
either of you played Demon Souls? Sorry, I can't remember. I think
No.
one of you has.
I've played a decent.
Yeah, I
amount.
thought so.
gonna have to-
Which is better? Do you think? Which is
Well, I had more fun playing Dark Souls, so probably Dark Souls. I don't know. Like, it's been a while since I played Demon Souls, and like I am gonna have to go back to that eventually because I am planning on playing or finishing every game that I haven't so that's going to be annoying. But if like Brad, I don't know if you've subscribed to this dude on YouTube, Vati Vidya. I think he's like an Australian dude.
Nope.
He does a bunch of Dark Souls videos. Like his stuff's really
speedruns or just
no, just like he does a bunch of like lore videos which are really well done. Like
that guy.
And like God, what else? I don't know. Just stuff like about the game in general, and he's doing like a bunch of like Dark Souls 2 stuff now because obviously that's coming out soon. He's like talking about. I don't know. He
Dark
runs
Souls
into
2
some.
looks weird. Like not the gameplay, but the way they've overhauled the UI for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay. And then you can dual wield weapons now.
Yes, that was something. Like
which is funny because you could dual wield weapons in the first game, but you used the one in your left hand as a shield.
Yeah, so it wasn't really proper.
It wasn't really dual wielding.
So if you're into Dark Souls or just the Souls games in general, I'd check that dude out. He posts some interesting stuff. Let's see. I finished Swarm, which I know Joe, you're a.
What do you think of Swarm?
I don't like it that much.
You're.
I think we talked about Swarm a while ago because I got like. I sort of played about halfway through it and then just stopped because
I remember you played it.
A level was pissing me off.
Which level?
Oh God, I've got no idea.
Did you find that game hard at all, or?
I felt like the mechanics didn't properly support the game.
That's just play it more.
No, like I guess
seriously.
I guess.
What didn't make sense? Because it was the only time I've ever I remember when I was reading Alex's review of it. It's the only time. I mean, I didn't bother posting because I just couldn't be arsed. But it's the only time I've ever been really tempted to just like kind of go off on one in a comment and be like, no, like that is you, not.
I guess right. The level that really pissed me off was the level that's like in darkness and you've got to pick up the bulb dudes.
Yeah.
Because well, I guess you'll have to agree with these statements or we'll not agree on why I don't like the mechanics. Right, dudes will just sort of die and there's nothing you can do about it. Like in your like group of 50 dudes, it's like, like if it like just be, through like attrition.
That is part of how the combo and multiplier system works.
Yeah. No, nothing to do with that. It's like, right, okay. Yeah. So,
okay.
Like say you're jumping over a gap, like one dude or two dudes might die. Okay, if those
depending on the, well, I mean, I think haven't got a recent enough memory of it, but it is possible to like keep all of your dudes alive. It depends on the situation. It depends on the jump and it depends on the level. But yeah, like people can like fall off the edge and die.
Yeah. Okay. So if those two dudes are the two dudes holding the bulbs and you are forced to walk through in darkness and just die inevitably because like the level's way too dark to just play. Like without those light bulb dudes, you are fucked. Which happened way too many times for me to mention.
I don't remember. It feels like I vaguely remember the level that you're talking about.
That level sucks.
But bulbs. I really can't remember like the bulb being locked to dudes.
Yeah, the bulb is like something that one dude picks up and he holds up. But it's not locked. Like when he dies, he drops it. But if he dies by falling down a hole, then there's nothing, you can't pick it back up because he's fell down a hole with the bulb.
Yeah, but you use the triggers to control how you like spread out your swarm. So like I mean I haven't played that game in a while, so I need to go back and play it to really
but I can't control where those dudes are within the swarm. So
you kind of can. I see what you're saying.
Not if I'm trying to like run through the level reasonably fast to keep up my combo multiplier and jump over these gaps because
that's true. Did you complete it? Sorry, did you say?
Yeah, I finished it.
Did you go back and play it through at all in successive play at all, or because that was one of my kind of criticisms of the game, and I think it is a valid point. And I thought like when you go through a level for the very first time, it's some levels are fucking hard to meet like the just the basic like score to unlock the next level.
Yes, that was the thing that
Yeah, but when you go back through in successive play mode, it's fucking ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
so
you
easy.
get that like time bonus.
Yeah,
thing,
you get the time
so-
bonus and the multiplier. There's one level in particular, I was really fucking pissed because I had like the world #1 score and then it was fucking glitched like a day later, some fucking bitch like put up a fucking 999 score. But do you remember the level where there's like the meteor strike that comes down quite near the end of it and you have to like kind of run this gauntlet all the way to the end of the level? Does that ring a bell?
God, no.
Okay, well, it's that level. That level can be done in one continuous combo. That you can do that entire level in one combo, and it really looks like it's built that way to do it.
But I mean, that was my thought about the whole game, was that every
I
level
think they
can be
probably
done.
can. It's just I played that game at uni and I didn't really have the time.
That was the way I was playing levels, because otherwise you didn't really have the multiplier to like the difference in score between like if you like did it in like 3 different multipliers or 1 through the whole level would be like ridiculous. Because
Well,
like
yeah, it is, but I mean, it's not really necessary to do that right off.
to me a bit like I wasn't playing it like that initially, and I got to this level where it just like it felt like it demanded me to
Yeah,
play.
that's what I was talking about with like the first time through the game. I think it puts that emphasis on you when you haven't played the level yet. So, when you go back through those levels on successive play, you think, right, I know how this level works now. I kind of know the basic layout of this level. But the very first time you play those levels, that one in the dark in particular, I thought it was pretty unfair to put that kind of on people on their very first try. It was like, I mean, I personally didn't really mind because I liked the challenge of it, but I did think that is definitely not for everybody. That is a bit extreme to do that like on your first run of the game. To put something in there that is that sort of you either play this and you really nail it or you don't proceed on from this point.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, what you say about like having to play through levels, like
I mean, that's kind of par for the course for any platformer, which is basically what that game is. It's a platformer.
Yeah, but those levels are quite long, and like if you it's like there are checkpoints, but if you fuck up and like lose your multiplier and lose all the score that you've built up because you haven't like dropped your multiplier since the start of the level and lose all your scores, like right, okay, well you pretty much got to restart the level because there's no way you can get enough score to actually get the requirement. Yeah, and yeah, there's just stuff about that game that I just wasn't feeling at all. God, I really didn't like the dash mechanic thing, like the having to hold the right trigger then release it to do the dash, because the situations where you have to be running quite fast is like having to like pump the right trigger in that way to run fast just didn't.
I'm the opposite. I kind of like that. I really
the triggers on the Xbox. I don't think are suited to that sort of like.
That felt very intuitive to me. Just pulsing the trigger to dash. That felt really good.
I didn't like that at all.
I thought that was really cool. I felt like the way you controlled the swarm was really good. I felt like the stacking mechanic was like really not explained why it was useful. I know that was something that was definitely mentioned in his review, and I was really like that's it doesn't they don't do a great job of explaining it, but like that mechanic is really fucking useful. And it kind of never gets like there's something to be said for like not blatantly explaining everything and not telling you something that is actually pretty good.
I guess I don't know. Like, there were just some times during that game where I just felt like the base mechanics weren't. There was because of the way the swarm is, and like I don't know, the way like the traps and stuff are. There's a certain element of randomness, I guess, which just doesn't work in that sort of like that game is like difficult. So it's like
I wouldn't necessarily say it was random though. I mean,
but there are elements where it's like there's a situation where you have to like stack up onto this, like stack up and then do this jump thing, but you've got these enemies chasing you, and if they hit like the bottom of the stack, then like you're sort of fucked. But sometimes they'll like randomly chase after like stragglers from the swarm instead of like the base swarm, and if they do that, then it's that bit's like that bit's trivial. But if they like come after the base, that bit is really hard because you've just got to like stack up, then jump and do a little dash thing in the air like immediately. It's like I don't know. Like it seemed interesting. I just wish I don't know. I read Alex's review after I'd finished it. I tended to agree with a lot of the points he made. Like,
Yeah, I just felt that. I mean, I did play it for quite a long time.
and like
to be
it's
honest.
like a game where like I don't know. Like I can totally understand where his score comes from because like say like he got assigned that game. He's like, oh okay, I'm going to play through this
I
game.
wouldn't really say
It's like,
I mean, I don't really give a sure about score. I'm not going to say, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it
had
wasn't-
5 stars or something.
but
But
I can-
what did it get? 2, 3? I can't remember.
I think it's 3.
3, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't really care about score. My point was just that that there are things in there that are just strictly not true. Like there are comments that just are not true. Like they are just not valid. Like saying like I mean I think it is in his review like the stacking mechanic is useless. It's like that's just not true. Like that's just. Like,
Well, I mean, I played the majority of the game not using the stacking mechanic until it was absolutely 100% necessary. Like there's only
There's only like off the top of my head I can only think of 2 sections in the game where you absolutely have to use it.
yeah, which I
Like,
guess I just think
absolutely
he said it was
have to.
completely unnecessary. I just think he said it wasn't that useful. And it's like it's one of like there's what like 5 I guess no there's like maybe 6 things you can do with the swarm, and that is one of them. And that it's not really used for anything except for like a few very key, well, not key, a couple of key things.
I can see your point. I mean,
I don't know. Just
there's always sort of a trade-off with reviewing. Like they don't. If they had like as much time as they cared for, then nothing would be missed. I guess.
yeah.
So
The final boss battle is terrible. Also,
I can't remember what the final.
the final boss battle has those like it's got those like saw things coming out of the ground. But like some of them, they'll like come to the front of the screen. Oh shit! I remember. Yeah,
I'll have to play it again.
they
to
like
be honest.
come to the front of the screen and obscure sort of some key parts of the environment.
I
which
remember.
sucks.
Yeah, I do remember that I do remember that in a boss fight. So if that is the last boss, then yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's
I
only
don't
two
remember
bosses.
I don't remember the boss fights being. They were fairly creative, but I don't remember them being that good.
No.
I kind of liked just the regular like levels.
Yeah.
I liked kind of like the.
The levels are definitely better than the boss.
Yeah, I like just the levels and like right, how am I gonna like puzzle platformer kind of setup? Like how am I gonna
Yeah.
get around this? Like I
My-
thought they were way better than the bosses.
That
really-
thing just reminded me that I really couldn't get a good sense of like depth, I guess, in that game. Is like jumping from like the front of the screen to the back of the screen, which you're required to do a few times, was terrible.
Oh, you mean like the like kind of not depth as in like left to right? You mean like
Yeah,
the kind of
I
Z
mean, like-
axis?
yeah,
Z axis? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's you.
that stuff was bad. But yeah. I just
if I
wish
get time, I'll have to play it again.
yeah.
So-
Alex's like main point in his reviews was he sort of wished they'd focused on the sort of like the hilarious like deaths that your
Yeah,
like
I mean,
swarm could meet,
part of-
which
Part of my affection for that game, I must admit, is the design of it. I think it's really charming.
yeah, I
love the design of it and the way it looks and
yeah.
the way it's like kind of really cutesy, but like all the deaths are really fucking brutal.
Yeah.
like
I wish they'd sort of leaned in that stuff a bit
yeah.
more.
You know on the main menu, like, did you ever do the thing where it says like don't press Y?
Yeah,
If you press
yeah.
Y, you get like all the death animations and they're all really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like the bear trap that just like straight up cuts him in half.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I agree. Like, I don't think it's a masterpiece by any stretch. I just think it's one of those games where it's again like a little bit quirky and it just needs a little bit more time to get used to than most other games do, so people don't bother with it.
Maybe.
And that just annoys me on a personal level.
And the last game that I played and completed. So this is I think 4 games down out of my 20 something.
Nice.
Yeah. Explosion Man. I finally finished Explosion Man.
Oh, what did you think? I could not. I don't know. There's something about I didn't really like that game that much.
Same thing wrong. Well, same problem I had with Swarm, where I thought the mechanics weren't good enough to support some of the challenges later on. It was
I
really
felt kind of the opposite way in Explosion Man. I felt it was too by the numbers. I didn't really feel that it was.
It's not massively. There are parts later on, I guess, like the third world in particular, sort of sucks dick. Like oh god, I'm trying to think of like specific examples, but this is sometimes when you'll explode and it won't do the thing that it should. Like you're sitting on top of you're like you're doing like this sequence of like jumps and shit, and like one of the bits is like you trigger like a barrel drop down, and then you got to explode on the barrel, and it's like you explode on the barrel and nothing happens. It's like, oh, that's fantastic. That's like, I'm gonna have to do a sequence of jumps again, and oh, I died again doing it. Oh, that's fantastic, great. Yeah, the final boss battle is terrible. It's just the same. It's obviously hard to talk about without anyone else having played it.
I've played it. I've played enough of it to know like what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it really only really becomes a problem like quite towards the end when it
I haven't played it that far.
Becomes more difficult.
I don't know. It felt like Explosion Man. As I said, it felt very like by the numbers. That is also that's weird. It's like it goes from being like there's like a sweet middle spot where it's like, oh yeah, it's really fun to like do all these like this sequence of events where you're like jumping off walls and stuff, and it's like, and that lasts for like a good couple of levels, and so it's actually really engaging. And then I preferred that stuff. Yeah, like just kind of the straight like jump platforming puzzle, which
it does lean into like heavily in the end. It's just that like there's only that like those few levels where it's like it's the right measure, like the right balance of difficulty, and the mechanics are actually good enough to support that stuff. It's just when it becomes more difficult, it's like this doesn't really, these mechanics aren't good enough or just aren't designed in the right way to support this sort of gameplay, which is unfortunate because that game could have been really interesting. It's got a dumb like end credits sequence, which is actually pretty funny, but it's sort of a shame. It's funny. It got me thinking actually, like, why is Twisted Pixel treated with such reverence? Because I can't actually think of a game that I've ever heard anyone go, "Oh, this game's really fun to play."
I don't know. I think Explosion Man is very highly regarded, isn't it?
Yeah, but like no one talks about Explosion. Like when people talk about like 2D indie platformers, I guess on the Xbox, they always talk about Super Meat Boy. No one ever says like, "Oh, Explosion Man, that's my favorite."
I guess
platformer. It's like I can't think of anyone where any Twisted Pixel game where the actual like gameplay mechanics have been really good. Like apparently, like Misplosion Man ran into like the exact same issues as Explosion Man.
Name me some Twisted Pixel games. I'm drawing a blank.
Explosion Man, Misplosion Man, Comic Jumper. Like Comic Jumper apparently was sort of funny, but like the gameplay was really generic.
Right, there was the Gunstringer. Yes,
which was like weird. I don't know what Gunstringer is actually like, so can't really comment on that. But like Explosion Man. I wish that game was better. I guess. So yeah, I don't really know what to play next. Obviously, I'm gonna finish The Last of Us, but maybe jump into another RPG since I've got Dark Souls finished, like Alpha Protocol maybe. I sort of want to finish that game because it seemed interesting at the time. Just didn't play particularly well, fortunately. Maybe I should play something that actually plays well. That's probably,
maybe you should give play a game that has good mechanics.
Terrible story, but
seems like you've been playing like games that don't work.
Which it's unfortunate.
So Brad, seeing as
hello,
you're back, what did you play this week? Enlighten us.
Well, I played a bit more Scrolls,
Yeah.
which is still continuing to be good. I had to take some time off of that over the weekend.
Hey, Brad.
Due to exams and stuff. What?
Hey, Brad, tell me about Scrolls. I wasn't here last time.
Oh, you weren't here last week, were you?
Please
Scrolls is pretty cool. Scrolls is effectively just a trading card game,
Boring.
but it's a trading card game combined with a tile, like a hex-based strategy game.
Oh, okay.
So there's a playing board, and you basically, when you play a scroll, it takes up one of the physical spaces on the board, and then you have structures which are usually quite defensive and can't move. you have creatures which can move around the board, usually moving one tile each turn. But you can obviously buff and debuff that depending on whether you want to move further or stop your opponent from moving at all. And then you have just straight spells that you can play that are immediate effect cards that affect like an area on the field or a specific unit or stuff like that. And the combination of the card game with the strategy, like board-based gameplay is actually kind of interesting. But I've just been enjoying it as a kind of. I've wanted to play a trading card game for a long while, and obviously real world trading card games are expensive. Because you have to throw money at cards, and that's not something I have the disposable income for. However, Scrolls, all the cards are bought with in-game money.
Did you ever, side note, did you ever collect Pokemon cards, Brad?
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah. Did you, John?
No.
What the hell?
Did you collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Is that?
I wasn't it Yu-Gi-Oh vaguely, but not
Vaguely.
properly.
Okay.
I remember I really fucking hated Pokemon cards.
Why?
Really. Because when they first, like, when Pokemon was, like, first a thing, I guess, I really wasn't into it, like, and I mean, I've never been into, like, the actual, like, cartoon or like, anime or whatever the fuck it is.
Uh-huh.
I've never really, like, I never played I just, like, kind of collected them because it just, like, it literally became what everybody did at school. Like, there was nothing to do, like, at break, like, other than just, like, do that. Like, because fucking everybody was doing it, and I really, really resented them because of that. I was like, fucking, this is boring as shit. I want to, like, run around and do shit. I don't want to stand here and fucking compare cards. This is gay. Anyway, yeah. So, little, like, childhood rant over.
All right. The good thing about Scrolls is, despite it being a strategy game, it's actually kind of easy to play whilst paying only about 50% attention to it. Especially, I spent a lot of time this week just sitting in so it has chat channels. I was just sitting in like 3 different trading channels, just like shilling cards effectively that I'd gotten from packs whilst watching the GameSpot streams. So like whilst I was watching all the E3 stuff, I was like, I'm just gonna have Scrolls open and make loads of money. And like at one point, I managed to trade a card that was worth like 200 gold, which isn't really a lot. You can probably earn that in like 1 to 2 games playing online. I managed to sell that plus an extra 200 gold for a card that was worth 800. So I like just doubled my money instantly. And I was like, what? Don't know. Like, I guess because it's kind of new, the market isn't really established, but it was kind of fun just douching about and trading for cards, trying to build a deck and all that. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to in Scrolls is currently there's 3 different types of deck you can play. There's Energy, Order, and Growth. I have an Order deck because that is the one I chose as my starter deck that you get given when you start playing the game. And you can buy the other starter decks as well, or you can just accrue cards through random packs and so on, or trading. But apparently, in the near future, they're adding a 4th faction called Decay, which, as you could probably guess, is focused around the theme of dying. So, like, when a card gets removed from the board, getting buffs that way, getting extra energy, and all sorts of other stuff like that. And that's more the kind of deck I would be interested in playing. So when that comes out, even if you have to throw, like, the pre-made decks that you can buy for the other energy types are all, like, 6,500 gold, which is like a lot. I haven't ever held more than 1,000 odd at once without wanting to spend it and then immediately spending it. But you can buy the pre-made decks for 6,500, or you can throw like, I think it's about £2 to buy a pre-made deck, and that's like 50 cards that comes with. So if there's a Decay,
is that like a preset amount, preset card? Sorry.
Yes, it's a fixed starter deck, and I believe, at least with the first pre-made deck you have, you can't trade the cards in that deck, so you just have them permanently, and you can't get rid of them as such. Because if you got rid of all your cards, obviously you wouldn't have a deck to play with, and then you could be left at a point where you have no money and no deck, and then you'd be kind of screwed.
Kind of fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, scrolls are still cool, and also despite it actually probably requiring brain power, I was still managing to beat people occasionally whilst paying about 50% attention, which was fun.
Maybe
Where
they
did I
were
go?
playing like 25% attention.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention, which I just completely forgot, was that going back to E3, you two talking about something, I can't remember what it was, just reminded me. I didn't talk about Rome Total War 2. Did you see any of the gameplay for that, John? Because you play Total War, right?
Yeah, but I played a decent amount of Rome Total War. Yeah, I probably won't get Rome Total War 2 unless I get a good PC, but I'm still interested to see what they do with that series because those games are sort of flying the RTS banner, I guess. I can't really think of anything else that's Company of Heroes is doing stuff, but
it's also cool how
StarCraft, but
they do a merge of real-time strategy and the turn-based strategy on the campaign map.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I like most about the game is actually the campaign map stuff. And obviously Rome had a pretty fantastic campaign map spanning like most of Europe, you know.
Yeah.
And they've expanded that even more for Rome 2. And when they showed the Rome 2 campaign map in one of the gameplay trailers I saw, I was like, wow, that looks so awesome. It's just so many like places to conquer. It looks really fantastic.
Is it expanded in like the amount, like just the size of it, also like the amount of regions per like?
It's more of the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more countries or regions or however they divide it up are available now, like around the borders of where they were before. I would find a picture, but I don't have one to hand. It looks really impressive, and like obviously the art style of the map looks really nice as well, and the graphics have always been steadily improving with that stuff. They've now got a camera setting in battles where you can just follow a unit and just have it like watch it charge into like cavalry or whatever and see the effects of that down like at a battlefield level. Game looks really good. Like I think that kind of sold me on getting it. The gameplay I saw on GameSpot stream, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's funny. There's not many people do that sort of RTS where the position and like height advantage, I guess, and all that sort of like micro sort of stuff like plays into actually. Like, I mean, I don't play a lot of StarCraft, but that's sort of like that seems like it's a lot like just who has the unit that beats this unit. It's not like if I like position this unit here, it's going to be like more effective or a little bit like
there is like once you get to a higher level an aspect of positioning StarCraft, but you're absolutely right. The way Rome Total War does it is like the whole morale system, all of that kind of stuff,
like energy that your troops have, and
they get worn out by running. All of that stuff is very unique to that franchise. I guess it's kind of a more realistic, almost more simulation-y take on on strategy games, and it's cool. I've always enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing Shogun 2 when I got that a while after launch, playing that with a friend. So I'll probably be getting Rome 2 at some point as well.
Cool.
Other games. So talked about Scrolls. I've got. Oh yes, the other thing I did before today, that was on Wednesday. I finally there's a StarCraft Society at my university, and one of the kind of events that we've been putting on, I'm part of the committee for that for next year, but one of the events that we've been organising throughout the year or trying to get going is what we call a show match series, where we just get, two roughly evenly matched people from the society to play a best of 9, and Zane, who's the head of the committee and also a top Masters like EU player, he's like pretty dang good at the game, provides an insight like into commentary on their play. And so it's kind of a cool thing to get everyone together because, it gives everyone a chance to play and be in the spotlight for a while, and also gives people stuff to do whenever we, put the event on. And I was playing in it on Wednesday, and man, I did not realize how exhausting playing StarCraft for 2 solid hours actually is. And I have even more utmost respect for the pro gamers who do it at a much higher level than just douching around with
like 10 hours a day, you mean?
Well, no, I'm not talking about. There's a difference between. There's a much bigger difference between going on ladder and practicing. For like I've done that for like several hours in a day, like 6 hours or whatever, and it's not that exhausting. It's the there were several points in the series we played. It was a best of 9. We played all 9 games. It went down to 4 wins each, decide a match at the end, and the kind of tension and like the amount of effort that you're putting into just thinking about everything you're doing, because obviously it's a strategy game. You have to really put your brain power into it. It's really exhausting, and doing that at a tournament where you might have been on a plane for the last 10 hours, have not slept since yesterday, and playing at a computer that isn't your computer in front of hundreds of people with hot spotlights on you, I can't imagine how tough that is for the people who do this.
I think that's an aspect of I mean, I don't want to say esports, but esports.
I'm okay with the term esports. So
yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I just think people, I don't really get what people's problem with that term is, to be honest. But whatever.
No.
Yeah, like that is like that's a very, very unusual like environment, I guess, to be in.
Yeah, to work in, I suppose.
Yeah, like I mean, it's weird. I mean, like Evo's in a month, and I'll be going to that. And I'm under no illusions of like how far I'll get. Like I'm confident in my ability, but like winning it is highly unlikely. I'm just keeping it real. But PS3 pads are illegal at that tournament. As just like what you said about like you're not playing on your own computer, and I'm having to use like a PS2 pad because it's tournament legal. And I've been using it for like 3 weeks, and I still don't feel comfortable on it because it's not what I'm used to using. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just one aspect of it. And you're not playing in like your own house. You're not playing in your own surroundings with like what you're used to having around you. You're playing in, as you said, like in front of hundreds of people. If there's a stream, there's potentially thousands of people watching you, and that. Like it's something that I mean, it is very niche, so it is hard to like get that across to people. I guess like a couple of people at work have asked about like how like a tournament happens, and it's so hard to explain it to people that have no idea, like, and like the mental stress of it. It's really, I don't know. I always think it's really interesting and a very overlooked fact of like competitive games.
Yeah, like I literally felt mentally exhausted after playing those 2 hours of games. It was really kind of interesting, and it was really good fun as well.
This brings up a question actually. A StarCraft tournament, like pools, like could they be playing like all day, like just like to play their pools, like like pool matches, like to get out of their pools into like the like top 64 or top 32 or whatever? Like would they be playing like literally 12 hours a day of StarCraft, like to get out of their pool, depending on like how long it runs for?
Not generally. The way the tournaments actually quite vary in structure regularly.
Yeah.
For example, DreamHack that's going on this weekend has group stages, which is groups of 4, and then it's just like a round robin in each group. Like each player plays all the other players, and then the top 2 players go through, and then that halves the number of players, and they keep doing that until they get down to like 32 players, and then they just do like best of 3s, and then get to like the round of 8, sorry, which is like best of 5s, and then the finals would be like best of 7 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But that varies wildly from tournament to tournament. But they never have it where they just keep playing games. There's always like a limit on the number of games you're going to be playing. And obviously the better players usually get buys through to the later stages, so they don't have to play as much.
Yeah, usually. They'll be seeded accordingly.
I mean, in DreamHack Open, it's actually not seeded. Well, it is kind of a seeded. So basically, that each of the groups has 2 seeded players and 2 unseeded players who came through the open bracket. So that, you can kind of tell who should be going through the early group stages, but there's always room for upsets or weak groups, I suppose. So that was what I did on Wednesday, and that was really fun. And there's going to be like videos of that on YouTube at some point, which I'm interested to see what people thought of my play whilst we were playing.
In terms, did you win? Sorry.
Yes, only just. Cool. It was funny. I thought I was playing against another Protoss, so it was PvP mirror match, and my PvP win rate in Heart of the Swarm was 100%. and that's 50% because I was really good at PvP because I found a strategy that really worked for my playstyle and was able to repeatedly beat people with it, and 50% because I stopped playing for a while because I wanted to keep my 100% win rate for the show match to scare my opponent.
Yeah, but if you never play anybody like
it kind of backfired almost, I guess, because as I said, I won 5-4, so it went to all 9 games, which I was not expecting to happen because I thought I would be able to, pull out a win. And like in some of the games, one game in particular, this probably is going to make no sense because you guys don't understand StarCraft, but it was a 4-player. So in the maps, you can have 2-player maps where there's only 2 spawns, and 4-player maps where each player can spawn in one of the 4 spawn points, so you have no idea where your opponent is to begin with. And one of the cheese strategies that I decided to use is called Proxy Gate, which is where you build your gateways outside the dude's base. Now, on a 4-player map, it takes almost twice as long to, you don't know where your opponent is necessarily. So I had to scout instantly in 2 different directions to try and find out where my opponent was straight away. And this is usually I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think I could win, and it was a terrible idea. And in the end, it cost me the game, but it was good fun. And I thought I'd be able to win a straight up game easier. So the game after that, I played straight up, and I was like, okay, I dicked about that game. It didn't work out, which was a shame. So now I'm going to play properly. Then I lost again. And at that point, I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, I need to perform now.
It's
Otherwise,
always disheartening.
I back myself into a corner.
When your shenanigans don't work. Just on a parallel, in Tekken or something, I've got quite a lot of shenanigans with Yoshimitsu that have won me a lot of games, which I shouldn't have won really. And when they get when someone clearly knows them and you kind of do it and you get absolutely blown up for trying it, you're like, oh shit, these aren't gonna work. What do I do?
Yeah.
And having to come up with something on the fly, in a different type of game, obviously, but I always think they're the most fun games. When you're forced to, not kind of use your shit and create new stuff as you play.
We had some really interesting games, but I can't explain them to you, obviously not being a StarCraft focused audience. But it was really good fun.
Cool.
I might end up doing that again sometime, but got to give some other people a go first, so there'll be more games of that hopefully happening.
Any more thoughts on going to a tournament at all? A StarCraft tournament?
I thought I told you I'm going to Spain in the summer.
No, I don't think you've told us this before.
Oh shit, seriously? I really
think
thought
so.
I told you a few weeks ago when I got it booked. But yeah, the StarCraft Society, the old head who is currently going to be leaving university and working in the real world, suggested, why the fuck don't we all go on a group holiday to Spain to watch DreamHack Valencia, which is obviously the Spanish branch of the DreamHack tournament that's on at the moment this weekend. And initially it was just 4 of us, but we've got a group of 12 of us going now, I think.
Oh, cool.
We're going for a full week, and we're going to spend the weekend watching the StarCraft games in person at the event. And
it's
I'm really
the biggest
excited.
scene for StarCraft, globally.
Globally?
Is it still? I can't remember the name of the league in Korea.
Oh, GSL.
GSL, that's it. Yeah, is it still that? Is that still the league of leagues, the scenes for StarCraft?
So, it's really weird because Blizzard have started stepping into the organization of tournaments, and they started organizing this World Championship StarCraft, WCS. I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but effectively WCS is their unified league of StarCraft, and it all does culminate in Korea with the GSL effectively. But it's
MLG even picked it up at one point, didn't they? I don't think they've got
MLG do run StarCraft tournaments. Yeah.
Is it still on their circuit? Because I know they were.
Absolutely.
Oh right, because I know that was one of them. That was the reason they kind of dropped Halo. It was whoa, StarCraft is fucking huge.
I'm pretty sure they still hold some tournaments, but that's not part of the WCS. The WCS is really confusing to explain, but effectively following on from GSL.
I think MLG for every game it has is its own thing, though, isn't it? MLG is MLG. There's not really any affiliates with it.
Yeah. Following on from GSL, which was hosted in Korea, ESL's European Star League and NASL sprung up in European and North America, respectively. And NASL had their own branch of the WCS, which it all feeds into like a points pool. So like whoever wins that gets a certain amount of points and then can advance to the finals in Korea. And then whoever won the European one gets a certain amount of points, can advance to the final. That kind of thing. It's like some unified league. But I don't know if Korea has necessarily the biggest turnout, because obviously they watch a lot of it on television. Like all of that stuff is broadcasted on television there. I know DreamHack is the venue that's usually I think is usually chosen to hold the European branch of the World Championship, StarCraft, the WCS, and that gets a big turnout. But that's also a multi-event tournament. There's no really specific StarCraft only tournament. That's also holds League of Legends and Dota and things like that, because it's just basically a massive LAN party in Sweden or Spain or wherever it happens to be being held. But yeah, I'm really excited to be going to Spain to watch that. Also,
cool. When is that? Did you say?
On holiday.
You say it was in about a month. Did you say?
In July.
Cool.
I think I'll be leaving a month and 2 days from now.
That's like really similar to when I'll go to Evo. John, you might have like a solo podcast that week.
Yay.
It'll just be you. It's like...
I'll just talk about why you two suck.
Yeah, just use that whole podcast to just bash me and Brad.
Sounds like a great idea.
Sounds like a great
that
podcast.
can be the podcast where you talk about things you don't like.
Yeah.
Like us.
That would be the most depressing podcast of all time. Just one
You
person.
on your own, just
one person.
shitting on things.
I hate
You know what I hate? Brad.
Oh god. Do you
Was
know
everyone super hyped for Rocksmith 2?
You know what? Did you watch the Rocksmith 2 like demo that GameSpot?
Yes.
Holy fuck, that was impressive.
Oh no, shit! Oh no, I didn't watch the demo. I watched the. I am meaning to watch it because I've heard
what's
it
the one on
sounds
GameSpot? Because like the dude who was presenting it was like really good on a mic, so he got you really hyped up for it. Even though I have literally zero shits given about Rocksmith. And then the dude they had on guitar, just like the technology behind it is so impressive. But it doesn't interest me at all because I can't play guitar and I don't want to.
That's. Oh, you fool.
You can play along, and then it
like
the drums play to like whatever you're playing.
I was just
keyboard, and it makes
awesome
music. Man.
It was awesome to see Ubisoft's press conference open with a guitar solo. I was like, yeah. Shame the rest of the press conference didn't really, meet those sort of standards, but whatever. It was funny. I was just like, yes, this is the way all press conferences should be opened. Guitar solos, and then that's pretty funny. Yeah, I am meaning to watch that gameplay demo because it sounds pretty cool. Oh, we done?
No, I wasn't finished.
Yeah, Brad, what have you been?
Oh well,
I don't know where you came out with that Rocksmith thing from.
Yeah.
I was about to say before you said that. Do you want to hear what else I've been playing?
No.
It's okay then. We'll move on. Not like you guys don't need to know about Animal Crossing, motherfuckers.
Oh god.
Is that what you've been playing?
Fuck yeah.
Then yeah, we don't need to know.
Catching bugs. I've been fishing and I've been shaking my trees. I got a perfect peach. And fucking
shaking your trees and you've got a perfect peach. So this is Animal Crossing you're playing here. Is this some like fucking metal?
Tom Nook's all up in my grill and he's like, have a fucking tent. You owe me 10,000 bells. It's fucking great.
All right.
Okay. I was just wondering, does the 8 character limit for the town thing sort of rub you the wrong way? Because I know
I just chose the only Game of Thrones town that fits within 8 characters.
Sure, there's got to be more than one.
King's Landing doesn't fit. Winterfell doesn't fit. Harrenhal doesn't fit. The only Dragonstone doesn't fit.
Dawn would fit.
You're right. I went with Riverrun in the end. I can't think of
9 characters.
White Harbour wouldn't fit.
No, Riverrun's 8.
The Wall.
The Wall isn't a town. I can't call my town The Wall.
That would actually be a pretty cool town name, though.
Welcome to The Wall. It's a town. What? Doesn't make any sense. I won the bug catching competition. That was today.
Well done.
Thank you. It's fun. It was actually, legitimately, it was kind of amusing. The guy doing the bug catching competition was a frog, and every insect you brought to him, he started salivating over and getting really excited about how tasty and juicy they looked. Like he kept on just letting slip things like that, and it was like trying to make out he was being serious about this bug catching competition, but it was clearly just a scam to get everyone to bring him bugs to eat. It was kind of amusing.
What are we talking about again? Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing.
What is going on here?
There's a bug catching competition.
John, does this make sense to you?
Bugs.
I only makes sense because my flatmate was talking about the same competition today.
Exactly. Everyone's talking about the motherfucking competition. You're missing out.
Because it all happens in like real time, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah, it's done on the real system clock. So today, everyone all over the world who is on the same date, like, gets the same event.
that's really interesting. Like, just,
Yeah,
like I'm not interested in Animal Crossing, but that is like that's cool.
That's
like having
interesting.
like
Like going on the Giant Bomb forums and like everyone's comparing their high score for like the competition and like
yeah, that's cool.
that's it. All that stuff happens together. It's kind of neat.
Cool.
Is there anything else, Brad, or is that all Animal Crossing shit?
And what do you mean all Animal Crossing? I'm not done crossing yet, motherfucker.
Okay, well carry on then.
No,
I must admit, I'm really
I
confused.
meant for the future.
I don't know
Wait, what
what
are you
the
confused
hell Animal Crossing is.
You actually have no concept of what Animal Crossing
No,
is.
I have
Has
no
one ever
fucking idea.
I didn't for quite a
For
while.
all I know, you're just making this up. Like seriously.
I can imagine if you didn't know what the game was,
Yeah.
I'd probably sound like a crazy person.
There
You
wasn't-
sound
there
like a nutter.
There was a long time where I heard a lot of people talk about Animal Crossing and just had no idea what the fuck it was.
I feel like that right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Animal Crossing is like the game that isn't a game.
Okay.
It's you turn up to this town and you move into this town. Everyone there is an animal, except for you. You're the only human. In this particular game, it's a case of mistaken identity, and when you arrive at this town, everyone's waiting outside the train station, jumps you, and tells you you are the new mayor, because they think you're the new mayor, and you're kind of like, no, I'm not the mayor, and they're just like, very funny, that's a nice joke. And so you end up accidentally as the mayor of this town. And so the idea of Animal Crossing is you just look after this town. You can go around and harvest fruit from trees and sell it in a shop. You can catch fish, catch insects, dig up fossils. Basically the only objective is completely meaningless. It's get more money to pay off your debt. So there's this guy called Tom Nook who's a raccoon, and when you move in, he's like, oh, you need somewhere to live, and then he sets you up with a house, and then he's like, okay, so you now owe me this much money. And when you go and pay off that amount of money, he instantly says, okay, I'm going to put in plans to upgrade your house, and then says, now you owe me even more money. And so he just basically keeps on extorting you for money, and there's no way of getting out of it, so you can't ever leave the town. Well, not that you'd want to, but that's kind of like the idea behind it. And so the only objective is really get more money, upgrade your house, fill up the museum, so like when you catch bugs and fish and shit, you can put them in a museum to view, and you just kind of just like collect them all kind of thing. And some of them have really stupid specific conditions, like some fish you might have to get up at midnight on a specific day of the year in a certain month, and it'll only be there for an hour, and if you miss it, you have to wait another year again to catch that fish or something stupid. Like some of the stuff in the game is kind of borderline masochistic.
Mhm.
But there's no point to the game. It's really just like the most casual, relaxing. You can talk to all the villagers, so like all the animal villagers that you live with, you can go around and make friends with them. You can send them letters, and they'll send you letters back. Obviously, they won't actually say anything meaningful. Like if you ask them a question, they probably won't answer it. But you can interact with these people, and then they move in and move out depending on who you talk to and who you don't talk to. If you don't look after your town, weeds will spring up, and like rats will start appearing in houses, and you have to get rid of them. There's like, for someone who's never played an Animal Crossing game, it's kind of overwhelming to begin with, but once you kind of know all this shit, every Animal Crossing game is like more or less the same, just with different bugs, different content and such. And then there's this dude called KK Slider who plays 6 songs. I don't know.
KK Slider is a pretty cool name.
It is a pretty cool name. So does that kind of explain what
That makes no sense. That I feel stupid right now. I don't know what Animal Crossing is
John,
still.
do you think I did a decent job of explaining it or not?
So it's a game that's not a game, but
you just chill out in this town, and it operates on a real clock time. So like you turn it on at 6 a.m. and it will be 6 a.m. in the game, and like if you turn it on at nighttime, it'll be dark and everyone will be in bed and the shops will be closed. And you turn it on in the day, so the game forces you to comply to its time. Like someone might come up to you and say, "Hey, I want to come round to your house to chill out. Can I come at 4 o'clock tomorrow?"
That
And if you don't turn your game on at 4 o'clock tomorrow, you fucking miss the time. They
I
get
think
pissed off.
that makes more sense. You maybe over-explained it before. That's a much simpler way of putting it. Okay.
It's just like a little mini virtual village.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Anything else, Brad, or was that it for this week?
That was it.
Cool. I guess that just leaves me. What did I play this week?
Who?
Me. I played some shit.
Really?
Oh, not really. I played one game this week. Yeah, I played a lot of Tekken Revolution that came out this week. I had fucking no clue this was even a thing.
That's the free to play.
It's the free to play Tekken, yeah.
Yeah.
Free to play Tekken game. I only found this existed. There's a guy on YouTube I'm subscribed to. A really good like Tekken. He's not really like a tournament player, but he's like a really, really good like Tekken strategist. Like he knows like a lot about like the way the systems work. And if you're kind of looking to get better at Tekken, it's a really good resource. To like he knows a lot about Tekken, like seriously. And he put up some videos of like his first session on it, and I saw it. I was like, Tekken Revolution, what the fuck is that? Click to watch the video, and it was like just in the description, first session of Tekken Revolution, like on PSN, and I went on my PS3 and was like, holy shit, it's free to play Tekken game. Okay, I'll download this and play this. So what it is it's Tekken, but free to play. And it's not like a full-on Tekken game. It's just got 3 basic modes. It's got ranked match, player match, and arcade mode. Arcade mode is the closest thing you've got to like an offline practice mode at the moment. There's no like kind of dedicated practice mode. And it's not Tekken Tag. It really kind of strips out the post Tekken 5 gameplay mechanics. So there's no bound, there's no tag moves, there's no tag assaults, obviously. All regular bound moves. I'm assuming you guys don't know what that is.
I have no idea what you're saying.
I'm gonna take. Is that where you can like bounce them off the edges of the screen?
Yeah. Well, no, you bounce them off. You bounce them off the floor, basically.
Okay.
Like in Tekken Tag, like your kind of moves are separated in terms of combos, obviously. They're separated into like launchers and bounds, and a launcher is ideally what you want to use first because you can do a launcher. I use Kazuya in Revolution, so for him, for example, it's forward neutral down forward 2, his electric. That's his launcher, and then you say like you can do like another couple of jabs, and then in Tekken Tag you would then do a bound move with him, which would be down forward 1-2, and that would bound him off the floor, and you can either carry on the combo there with your main character, or you press tag, and that's what your tag assaults are. You can bring in your tag partner, kind of do an extra combo, and then finish it off with your primary character. Them being stripped out of the game, coming from Tekken Tag and 6, obviously, is the biggest change to it, because it really takes your combo not combo damage, the damage is still fucking insane, but I'll get to that in a minute. That really takes like the fundamentals and the damage stuff back to Tekken 5. I still really love Tekken Tag 2, but it was really refreshing to like playing a lot of Revolution. The characters seem they've got more to do with this, but you're never going to get hit by like some random move in a string and then that lead to losing like 40% health because of the bound system. Like it just like the bound system is really fun in that, and I do like it, but it does make like really high damage combos fairly straightforward. Like there's not really any such thing as a low damage combo in Tekken. Like pretty much every single combo is pretty devastating. And like I liked that being kind of removed from it. It was a nice change to go back to like pre Tekken 6 and not have bounds, because it really makes winning harder in a lot of ways, because you have to look for like your combo openings more often. You can't just get 2 combos on a guy and kill him. Like you need to really like outplay an opponent to beat them in it, and I really like that. But the way they kind of offset that a little bit is that you can actually upgrade your character in this. And I don't mean with like the dumb aesthetics that they brought in they're actually not in the game, which I really like. Like people having like fucking butterfly wings and a fucking battery pack on their head and a fucking cake on their face. Like,
Wait, what?
yeah, I mean, have you never seen like all the customization stuff in like post Tekken 4?
No.
Yeah, that stuff got
It's so
stupid.
fucking dumb. It's like in Tekken 5, it wasn't really that bad because it was mainly like just aesthetic stuff. Like you could put like armor on your dude, or you could like give him a jacket or something, or like put a sword on his back. Whereas like, but in Tekken Tag, it's just fucking stupid. It's like, you can literally put cakes on their heads, and like they can be holding fish, and you can have like fucking Kazuya, like a fucking sinister devil fucking dude wearing a fucking like fucking trilby hat. It's so stupid. And like, and I don't like it because I think like the main character models in it like look amazing, and I think that's kind of like doing a disservice to like the artists that make those like work on those models. Like, they put all that effort into making this really amazingly detailed character model, and you go and put on this stupid fucking like Power Ranger outfit on him. Like, no, that like I'd be pissed if I was somebody that worked on that. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, the enhancements that you put on them this time are full-on upgrades. You have damage, health, and what they call vigor. And vigor is how you get a counter or critical hit. And the criticals replace the counters that were in like pretty much all Tekken games before it. They've just changed the way they work. Usually, how counters work in Tekken is if you time an attack, depending on the character that you're using. If you time your attack like just before an enemy is going to hit you, it's registered as a counter, and a lot of moves have different counter hit properties. I'll use Kazuya as an example because he's the character that I use in Revolution. His down forward 2 on counter hit stuns them for a full combo. You can actually get a full launch out of it, whereas the regular hit will just just stun them and they can recover from it. It doesn't lead to anything. It's not like a natural combo. They've been replaced with like the critical system, and the critical system is just kind of random. Certain attacks in your command list will be assigned critical hit properties. Again, his down forward 2 is one of them. And when you get the critical hit, not only do you do more damage, and you get the counter hit stun where you can stun them for a combo, but this is where like the visual overhaul comes in. And they've really gone for more like a Street Fighter kind of look to it. Like when you get these like explosions come out of your hand, and like the fucking audio and visual is like fucking insane, and it's like you just punched him with a fucking meteorite, and it looks really, really cool. But on a more like fundamental level, I think it does a pretty good job of like conveying like kind of unsafe and safe moves to people that don't really know about it. Like it's one of the things that is a little frustrating in Tekken. Every character has got like at least 100 moves for the most part. So it's annoying to have to memorize like so many fucking strings and attacks. Whereas like having different moves have different properties, and they have like these different visual cues attached to them, it does make it a little bit easier to like, if you see a character that you haven't really played a lot and you see kind of this like red dash after a move, that move is unsafe. So it's punishable. You just need to find out what you have in your character to punish it. Like you need to find like your quickest like jab punisher or something. And I think that's a pretty interesting approach. It makes Tekken a little more accessible. I've been playing it like, trying to get better and improve for about 8 months now. And I still feel like I have a lot to learn. Like, because it's just, there's so much to fucking process when you're playing Tekken. Like, especially against a character you don't know. Like, if you're playing a character you know well, it's not that bad. But playing a character like you have no fucking idea what that character is capable of, and it's gonna happen in a game that's got like 60 characters, it can be pretty annoying. And they stripped that out in Revolution. There's only 8 characters when it launches. You unlock more characters just by playing it. So I think there's 12 if you unlock them all. And yeah, attack and endurance are just like you do more damage, you have more health. Having more health than your opponent in a fighting game is kind of weird. As is doing more damage. I haven't really put a lot of upgrade points into health because I don't really feel there's much point. Like the combos in that game are still pretty devastating. Like I think you're gonna have to have like your health upgraded pretty much to like at least 1.5 health bars for it to really make a difference. I've played it quite a lot. I don't know how many games I've played. I've probably played about 60 or 70 games. And like I can kill an opponent in 3 combos, even if he's got like 1 1/3 health bars more than I have. Like, you know, my combos just do that much damage because I've upgraded my health and my critical chance. I mean, I've upgraded my damage rather, and my critical hit chance. So, like 1 combo can do like 72 damage, and in Tekken that's about 60% health. So if I land 2 of them on a dude, he's fucking dead. So I think the health thing's a little superfluous maybe, like unless you put all your upgrade points into health, which is kind of high, here nor there. But like the only thing left to talk about, I didn't really put a lot of time into noticing this. Do you guys know who Aeris is? You might have heard of him, not through very good news, but
is he the guy who's like mega misogynist?
Yes, that is Aeris. Yeah, very 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 well known Tekken player.
Outspoken.
Very.
He basically justified it by saying like that's just how it is.
This is America, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much what he's. Yeah, he's not somebody. He's not somebody that like does well if his responses are written down. I think like you. Because I'm just gonna get into like kind of the breakdown stuff. Like he's a very very accomplished Tekken player. Like have any opinion on him what you want with regards to his views, but like that dude knows how to play some fucking Tekken. And like the way they break down the actual free-to-play aspects of the game is pretty interesting, and I quite like it. I haven't put any money into the game so far. I've just downloaded it and I've been playing it. And it's split up into like 3 separate categories. You have your tokens and tickets, and the tokens are split into like 2 separate tokens, so it's kind of what makes up the 3 categories of how you play. You have your arcade tokens, which you need to play arcade mode, and they regenerate every, I think, half an hour. Like every half an hour in real time, you'll be able to play arcade mode. Which might sound like a bit weird, but like a playthrough of arcade mode probably takes like maybe 7 or 8 minutes. So it's not that bad. Like it's not like you're going to be sat there waiting to play. And then you have your player match tokens, which you can use to play player matches. And then you have your premium tickets, which can be used for anything. Like you can use them for arcade, player, or ranked. And the interesting thing about the premium tickets is that if you use them when you play online and you win, you actually keep your ticket, and the other person loses theirs. And it's the same for you. So like if I'm playing and I use one of my premium tickets and I get beaten, I've lost that ticket, and I then need to use another one to play again. So obviously it rewards the better player. The better player you are, the more games you're going to be able to play for free. I'm by no means a great Tekken player, but like I've played a shitload of that game, and I haven't had to pay to play it yet. But I haven't had to pay for like a coin pack or something. The coin packs do seem like pretty good value. I think they're split up into, I think they're £4 and £6. I think the £4 you get like 50 coins. I'm not sure how they're distributed, but either way they're cut, like 50 coins would get you a lot of fucking games. And I think the £6 one you get 99 coins. So it's like, you pay more, you get way more kind of thing. And again, like that would last you a very, very long time. But I think it's just a pretty interesting setup, like a free-to-play fighting game. It's not something I've really seen before. And Tekken doing it is, why I'm playing this one, because I really like Tekken. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And seeing as it's free, people are far more inclined to play it. Tekken is not a new friend, like a newbie friendly game at all. It's I can't think of like a worse fighting game to be like your first fighting game than Tekken. Well, maybe King of Fighters. I hear King of Fighters is like fucking ridiculous. But, like Tekken, it's got a huge cast. It's got so many, like the way the like mechanics of it are set up is very, very unique. Like they've like completely, like they've introduced like an entirely new mechanic to the crush system. I won't get into that because it just won't make any sense if you don't play Tekken. And it's just a pretty interesting way to like try and make it more appealing to new people. Like you can play this, if you own a PS3 basically for free. You can play it, you can get practice in. If you want to pay to play more, you can. If you just want to wait and like give it a couple of weeks to see if you might want to get better, then you can. If not, whatever, move on. Don't bother. But I feel like in that regard, I think it does quite a lot to just make it a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, fighting games have sort of they've never really taken off. I guess there's never really been like the big fighting game. I mean, there's always been like sort
I
of
mean, in the
minor
arcade
successes.
era, there
Yeah, but like nowadays with consoles and stuff, it's just not a focus for a lot of people. So
I mean, they've kept their scene though. I mean,
yeah,
like
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously the hardcore, like the people who, get into those games and like frame data and all that shit will, they will just play those games. But like, I guess free play is sort of an interesting approach to try and rope in more people.
yeah, it's the thing that makes me when I first saw it, I was originally really taken aback by it. But like the actual stat system, I was like, what? You can upgrade your fucking damage? That's stupid. I was like, this isn't a fucking RPG. Like, this is supposed to be, like one player's knowledge versus another player's knowledge. And it's interesting, like to the point where it doesn't really affect that much. Like, you're not doing kind of like, 4 times the amount of damage you would usually be doing. I'm not sure what they go up to, but I think my damage is currently at 30 and my like vigor is at 29. And my regular like B&B I think does 52 damage, and without all those stats on it only does like 46. So it's not like a huge increase in damage. Like it's not like someone's not going to kill you in 1 combo as opposed to killing you in 5 combos. I guess it's just kind of one of those hooks. People like putting stats into stuff. People like watching bars get bigger, and people like earning skill points and experience. So it's one of those hooks to keep people playing. But like I had originally thought that would affect things way, way more. But it's like interesting that they've made it pretty balanced. So yeah. I'd highly recommend trying it if you like Tekken.
I might give it a go.
A very good Tekken game, and especially if I mean I really do love Tekken Tag, but I wasn't huge on Tekken 6 because the only slight problem I have with it is that the Tekken 6 rage system is back, and that was one of the main reasons I didn't like Tekken 6. Do you guys know what that is?
No idea.
Not hard to explain. When you get to like a certain level of health, it's usually very, very low health. Your character gets rage, and you deal a fuck ton more damage, and like it alters the properties of your moves. Like some moves like will launch when they didn't before, and it's like it doesn't happen a lot. It's only happened to me a couple of times, but like you clearly like outplay somebody, get them down to rage, like you guess wrong on like a mid-low mix-up once, and because they have rage, they win. Because and it feels like you're almost punished for beating them like the first 90% of that round, and like that's the only thing that I'm not too big on at the moment. Like Tekken Tag 2, sorry, I think they really like balanced out the rage system more. Like the rage system is actually really interesting in Tekken Tag 2, how it works. And in this one, it is more the straightforward. Like, nope, when this dude's got like 15% health, you really need to like not fuck around. Like, because one combo could fucking wipe you out if the guy knows his combos well enough. So that's like my only slight complaint about it, I guess. But so it's really cool. You should give it a go, John. We should play, John, if you got a PS3. You should add me. We should play some Tekken. Because it's cool. It's cool to play Tekken against people that won't bitch.
Joe will kick your ass.
I don't know. I mean,
what's
your
the
Tekken experience, John? How long?
God, let's see. I played a bit of Tekken 2.
Oh, okay.
So
you're fairly out of practice.
Played some Dark Resurrection on the PS2.
Who's your main in Tekken? Oh, actually, I can't believe we're taking this. Big complaint. Where the fuck is Yoshimitsu? What the fuck is going on? I mean, I'm not complaining. Like, I feel pretty confident with Kazuya now, but still, what the fuck is happening? How can you have a fucking Tekken game without Yoshimitsu in it? What the hell is going on?
Let's see. I used to like whichever law character turned up, whether it was Forrest or Marshall.
Yeah, laws. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking laws, man. Ugh. That's the downside of like having 8 characters.
Eddie Gordo, just because he was.
Yeah, there's no capo in it. There's no.
It's cool.
There's no capo in Revolution. The character selections is pretty. I think it's very weird actually. There's some there's some really iconic characters in there, like Kazuya's in there, King is in there, Paul.
Yeah, King was cool.
Law's in there. I fucking hate King because I hate throws, and he's like a fucking throw-based character. But yeah, who else is in there? But there's some really weird ones, like Lily's in there. Like, who the fuck is that? Like,
either the Williams sisters.
I don't think so. No, yeah, it's like Nina and Anna, like they're not in it. Yoshimitsu fucking isn't in it.
Jin.
Jin's not in it.
Heihachi.
Heihachi is in it, but he's an unlockable character.
Oh, okay.
I think. Brian's in it. He's an unlockable character. But
either of the dumb animals.
No, they're not in it either. I'm actually going to get a list of this actually because it is a very bizarre list of choices.
Any Jacks?
Yeah, Jack's in it. Yeah.
What was he called? Lei? What's he?
The drunken policeman.
Yeah.
No, Lei's not in it. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. See.
Pushing up against the limits of my.
Here we are. Starting roster is Law, Paul Phoenix, Asuka, which is like Jin's sister. Okay. She's kind of like June was in Tekken 2. Kazuya, Laws, Lily, King, and Jack 6. Unlockable characters: Leo, Alyssa, Steve, and Brian. Huh. For me, oh no, Heihachi's a boss character. He's not unlockable.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. Yeah, like for me, like just looking at that list, like Asuka, Laws, Lily, Alyssa, and Leo. Get the fuck out.
Like a good like half of those names I just don't recognize.
I mean, Laws was like a Tekken 6, he was like a Tekken 6 console edition. Like he wasn't in the arcade version of Tekken 6. Lily, I don't know who that is, and I play the game. Alyssa, just meh. Leo, meh. I think Steve and Brian are solid additions. I think
Steve's the boxer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the boxer. Yeah. I think the reason he's really interesting and well known is because like the way Tekken's system works, like each button controls a limb, but he never uses his legs.
Yeah.
He only has punches, and like the leg commands for him are like his dashing. They add to his mobility, and it makes him a fucking pain in the arse to play against. But like he's a really interesting character design in that style of game. I think the rest of them are solid. I think Law and Paul, like, really iconic. Kazuya, obviously, one of the most iconic Tekken characters. I really feel that the absence of Yoshimitsu is kind of ridiculous. I think he is one of the most well-known Tekken characters. And he's, I think, one of the 6 that's been in every game up until now. Maybe they'll add more characters further down the line. But, like, you know, he is, like, my main... Like he's my go-to character, so it was weird him not being in the game. But yeah, you should give it a go. We should play. We should definitely play some Tekken. It'd be fun.
Indeed.
But yeah, that really is all I played this week. I didn't expect to get sucked in by that as much as I did. I just really enjoyed playing it, so I'm gonna play some more of that. But if that's it, I think that does us for this week. This is a long episode.
Joe, I wanted to ask you one thing before we go. What are your thoughts on the new Ninja Gaiden game?
I haven't seen anything of it. I couldn't give a fuck.
Okay.
Ninja
cool.
Gaiden.
That answers my question perfectly.
Happened. Don't get me started on it, man. Just don't even fucking.
But it's got zombies in it.
Fuck it. Fucking fuck. Ugh.
Have you actually not even heard anything?
I'm like full on fucking DMC2ing everything to do with Ninja Gaiden. But fucking. Ugh. You know, I mean, I haven't talked about it because
it's called Ninja Gaiden Z.
It's not new, but like, I've been playing a lot of Ninja Gaiden Black recently, and just goddamn, that game is fucking perfect. And Jesus fucking Christ, it's garbage now. Ugh, Ninja Gaiden, fuck, just dude, it's fucking depressing how shit that game is. I mean, it really fucking is. Like. It really makes me sad to think about what happened to that series. Like, Jesus Christ. Ugh. Way to bum me out, Brad.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I tried.
Arsehole. Thanks for reminding me that existed. Why don't you just, like, tell me Devil May Cry 2 actually existed as well? Ugh. You guys ever had a game that's like crushed your soul that much
Assassin's Creed 3.
out of curiosity? Oh, really? There wasn't a game to begin with to fuck up. Like,
Assassin's Creed 2 was pretty good.
yeah, but I mean, like, they didn't break like the fucking fabric of what made that game good.
I don't know. The part where it didn't run was kind of a deal breaker.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Good point.
I could boot that game up now and then enjoy my screen turning green, but that wouldn't really be that much of a game, would it?
That is a fair point. John, any like soul-crushing
I don't.
sequels or?
I think my souls remained intact.
I feel.
Dark Souls.
Uh,
Souls.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not like that's a game that's just.
I know, I'm joking.
Yeah.
There's never been anything where I've got really, really like excited or like anticipated, and then just like it's just been like a complete disappointment. I don't think I've ever.
That was the thing with Ninja Gaiden 3. I wasn't really expecting it to be like, you know, on par with the other two. I just wasn't expecting a steaming pile of shit. Like, it, you know, it was like my expectations were low going into it. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh my god, like, even if you'd have met my expectations, like, this would have been, I could have moved on from this. Like, I haven't even played any of the re-releases, and like, apparently they're really good. Like, I will never get over just how shit Ninja Gaiden 3 was. Like, vanilla Ninja Gaiden 3 was just a fucking mess. That game was garbage. And like, yeah, that game didn't happen. Full on fucking DMC2 syndrome. The game did not come out. But, you know, actually, that reminds me. You know, with THQ going under,
Yep.
they originally had Devil's Third, didn't they? What happened to that? Do any of you know?
I have never even heard of that. So
It's Itagaki's new game. It's his new action game.
I don't know.
I'm going to see if I can find that out. But, yeah, that pretty much does us for this week. Unless you guys got anything else you want to talk about. Oh, Brad, you finished book 5 yet?
No.
Oh,
You know what I did? I went out and bought a 1,000-page book to follow up once I finish book 5. I don't know how soon I'm actually going to finish book 5.
how far are you through? You're in part 2, aren't you?
Yeah.
How far are you through part 2?
I keep reading like a chapter now and then, so really not that far. Like,
Have
quarter of the way.
we talked about, like, season 3 after finishing it? I think me and John did, didn't we? Because I told you to avoid spoilers.
Wait.
That was
what
me and John, right?
TV show or the book? I didn't...
The TV show, because I remember me and John talking about it. Because me and John have finished book 5.
Are there spoilers for book 5 in season 3?
No, it was was it last week, John? Can you remember? When
You
I
two
think
definitely
so.
had a big chat about it.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what that was about.
We just talked. Well, I think we talked about like the episode 9 of season 3, and then that somehow segued into book 5 of it.
Oh, right, yeah. No, I didn't listen to that.
Yeah, because yeah, we definitely spoiled stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm interested where they're going to go with season 4. It's
Yeah.
kind of.
I'm pretty sure I talked to you, Joe, though, about the whole Red Wedding scene.
Yeah. We've all watched season 3, haven't we?
I haven't watched the last episode. Still.
Yeah, I haven't seen the
Watching
last
that in a
episode
few
either.
weeks.
Oh, okay. Right. Last episode's pretty good. I think it's getting kind of a bad rap. But...
Most of the people who I know who only watched the TV show were kind of disappointed after episode 9 being all of the.
I guess how do you possibly?
I think that's kind of
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Exactly.
if you've read the book, like there's some pretty fucking big nods to like, yo, this is gonna
really?
happen.
Oh, that should be.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, and I think people that have only watched the TV show, like, yeah, they do seem to be like, yeah, it was kind of a whole lot of nothing, and it's just one of those things where you have to go like, yep, you just wait. Like,
Which book did Tyrion shoot his dad?
in book 3, like that's still to come.
Okay, that's the latter. That's the only part of book 3 that they haven't got to. I swear.
There's a pretty big one you're forgetting. Dude's name begins with a J.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that hasn't.
That
happened.
hasn't happened yet.
So I was assuming that was going to happen this series, and then I keep on forgetting that it didn't.
Yeah, I think that's another one where I'm actually going to be. It'll be interesting to see like the internet just go fucking crazy.
And next season, those two things happening back to back.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I feel like just a lot of the like hate for that season finale is like, you know.
And then there's just going to be loads more posts about people saying, I can't get attached to any characters because he just kills them all off, which is completely.
You know, that like really incessant whining's just really been pissing me off.
You know,
Yeah,
it took
from
me
people
like
who haven't read the
3
book.
minutes to go, oh, Joffrey. Like, I was honestly sitting here like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that explains how Tyrion ends up in the situation that he was in.
Yeah.
And all that. Isn't the Clegane scene around about then as well?
You
With
mean
him
the one?
Oh, yeah.
smashing the Sand Viper's face in
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that's
is-
and
like
dying of
God, that
horrible-
was so cheap.
that
Yeah,
was cheap.
That
pissed
was
me off.
so cheap.
Imagine how that scene is going to be in the TV show.
I mean, they went fucking full on with Rob Wynn, so I don't really see why they wouldn't do that as well.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't really see they're not omitting like shit. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do it differently. Maybe they'll make it worse. I think like they made the Red Wedding worse, didn't they? Like they killed his wife. So it's like that didn't happen in the book. So they obviously don't care about pulling any punches. So anyway, we need to end this podcast because we're going fucking
Yeah,
long.
we've gone long.
Really fucking long. Email us at themightyelectronicbox@gmail.com. I should really write this shit down.
I don't know how you forget every.
You know, it's because like I've got like 3 different email addresses that I need to remember for other shit, and I just get them all confused. I'm like, is it Hotmail? Is it like I don't know. And you can tweet at us at TMEB Podcast. So yeah,
Indeed.
that will do us for this week. Say bye, John.
Goodbye.
Say bye, Brad.
Oh.